Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hey-oh!
What the heck? Fire for
Look at that.
for Bulls.
Look
right
at
there.
that. That is good.
Like,
you love
that's
that?
his best wardrobe choice
Ever.
in the history of the show.
Classic fun.
Where you get that from?
I got it from the Cavs team shop like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It's a good look. That's
it fit me a
great
little
look.
better then. It's a little tighter now.
Great
but,
look.
That's a hot shirt.
I love
And
this
as long
sweater.
as we're talking about wardrobes,
Yeah.
Mike, explain.
Well, I'm celebrating another start from a man Baker. Danger Mayfield.
You didn't say a good start.
No,
but a
I just
start.
said another start.
Is that
hey,
based
every
off
day?
his I woke up feeling dangerous?
Yeah, that's what it is. He
Yeah.
woke up feeling dangerous. I think it's also based on Danger Mouse. Remember,
I do.
Remember Danger
Yeah.
Mouse?
Danger.
So I think that's the image they use. But hey, he had another start.
Yeah.
Lives to fight another day. The Baker Bros get another feather in their cap, and sure, it didn't work out, but that guy's going to get another chance next year. You know.
Well,
he is.
I think he's going to get another chance in L.A.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
Stafford said today he's not retiring, so.
Well, I don't expect that he would say that yet, but boy,
Fair.
did you read about his injury?
It's bad. Spinal column.
Really bad,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a risk of re-injury
Yeah.
and even worse down the road. So at some point, common sense
What's
might
wrong
kick
with it?
in.
Like
spinal cord.
in his brain to want to keep doing this after he won a Super Bowl and has injured himself so badly again
Just
and
live
again
on
and is a
on the,
billionaire.
Little Caesars.
Just relax.
commercial
Does he think he's going to outlast Tom Brady and have a better
Yeah,
legacy?
no.
Get out of the game. You
Yeah,
still can
especially
think.
because the Rams' future is so bleak.
It is.
You know, last night in their 14th game, they used their 15th different offensive line combination.
Yeah,
I
they
thought the
mortgaged-
Browns were decimated with injuries.
They mortgaged their future. It paid off, but now they're paying the repercussions.
It's worth it.
What
They
is?
won
I was
the
just going to ask you
championship.
that
got their
question.
ring.
So for the
100%.
Browns to win one and then go 3-14 for the next 5 years, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'd take it.
Why you think we still rock with the Cavs? The Cavs won in 2016. We
Yeah.
knew they was going to tear it down.
Yeah.
They got to a place right now where they're a good team. They got some other pieces and parts. And now you're like, cool, it's
Now
fun to watch again.
they're rebuilding. In fact, we're going to start with the Cavs. We're going to do that in just a second. But little business to take care of. Jen Matthews is going to be here. We have opponent trivia this week.
Okay.
And
And real
she's going to
quick
have
with
us
Jen,
trivia questions
There's
on.
a special edition of Jen Matthews trivia that is going to make Mike Polk's life.
Nice.
Make
Really?
life?
Nice. That
gonna
tells
make
me it's
his life.
Masters of the Gridiron related.
I think that means Clay's going to join with Masters of Gridiron costumes.
Wearing his outfit. They're
Will
probably
the
still.
bear be there?
It'll be
The
good.
bear
I
might be
promise.
there. Probably
Yeah.
still
The
fits
bear.
like a glove.
With the bear. Also, we're going to dive into the Brown Saints, and we're going to. DJ Hazmat's on the show.
Yeah.
Guy.
If DJ is awesome. Every week, every single week after the game, win or lose, he produces a really high quality music video, original song, and he usually turns it by Tuesday.
That's
Now,
crazy.
It's
It's going
nuts.
to debut here, right?
churn
It's going to
is crazy.
debut here, and I hope moving forward it will debut here every week.
That'd be awesome.
We've used him at Channel 3 a time or two. I think the guy is wildly talented. I'm not sure how he hasn't landed something on a national scene yet.
Yeah.
Because the audience that he caters to is just so dialed in to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He could do a weekly recap video. Can you imagine if he was to write a song on Week 15's games?
Oh, my God.
An original rap song and then
Yeah.
all the video. It's
Oh, yeah. People
he was
love
on the
that.
wildly
Barbershop.
talented guy.
Oh, he was
on
on
the
the barbershop.
barbershop.
Yeah.
And he was the first dude when I wanted to interview. I was like, I need you in here, dog. And he's actually a black baker, bro. It's almost like being
Wow.
a black. It's like being a black conservative.
It's like being a log cabin, Republican.
Yeah, it's
G.
like
Bush.
he's the Candace Owens of football.
It's always of the
I
Baker
bet-
Bros.
I'll tell you guys the backstory, but take Tagboard Full. This was the first barbershop with DJ Hazmat. I'll tell you the story behind this picture, which is absurd when Hazmat's on, because I'm curious if he remembers what.
So that's Hazmat next to Earl.
Yeah, I met Earl
with
for
the
the first time
sunglasses.
that day, and we'll tell you how the rest of
You
that
could
went
not
down.
look douchier in that, by the way, Mike.
G. Bush has some
honestly.
explaining to do, but we got to wait for
yeah,
Hazmat
right.
to come
Well,
on.
just
G. Bush has some real
humiliating.
explaining to do, because he
Yo,
did me dirty.
it was
He did
funny
me
as
dirty.
hell.
So that's a little teaser for when Hazmat
That
joins
is
us about
brutal.
12:15.
Okay, very good. And
By the way, shout out to Jim Mitch on Twitter, who apparently knows Brad Sellers, who I picked him as the winner of the Baker Mayfield jersey giveaway.
What did he say or do to win the Baker jersey?
I just thought he had a fun. Well, first of all, you had to be following me on Twitter. I didn't say that, but I'm not giving it to somebody who's not a fan.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And then I went through your timeline to see if you were nice, seemed like a nice guy or not.
That was nice.
And
Scrub your account.
well, I don't know. And then it was like, what did you say? And
Check for QAnon references.
Honestly, 80%
Election deniers.
80% of the responses were like, I'm going to use it for toilet paper. I'm going to use it for kindling. So I did want to give it to somebody that actually liked Baker and wanted to use it. And Jim was like, my wife loves Baker. She's a huge fan, and she loves taking in strays like me. It was just like a
that's
funny
nice.
line.
That's cute.
And
Yeah.
he seemed like his wife really wanted it, so
Good for
I sent it out
him.
this
Good for
morning.
you.
I've lost all my Baker animus. I'll tell you, we'll talk about it a little later, but I've kind of lost my Baker animus.
I don't feel like
good.
you ever hated him.
Nah, yeah.
I mean,
Unlike
you
me.
were advocating for a stretch there that maybe he's the answer this year.
Yeah,
I remember that
yeah,
for a brief moment.
You know, I can't wait till he starts his career in
But he sucked ass
broadcasting.
yesterday, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
he was
terrible.
bad Baker.
Wasn't great.
I literally was watching going, how is this? I don't know that I've ever seen a player, any sport, that has been so Jekyll and Hyde.
Ever.
Because, guys, I know he was overall here, he was bad, but he had moments where we all thought in that moment, oh, he's the answer. At
and-
some point, we thought that.
I'm sorry, McNuggets. I
That
do
is
it.
true, even I.
I do it every time.
And then last week,
I know,
with
I did-
2
it's
days
over.
in the system,
Okay.
he looked like he was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. And then this week, now granted, my God, their offensive line.
All right, we gotta
Cooper
pull him
Kupp's
out. We gotta
out,
pull
Aaron
him out.
Donald's out. Yeah, we got to stop.
Yeah, we'll get back to it later.
We gotta
We're coming
stop.
back to Baker.
Did
We
y'all
gotta
watch
get
the
back to
Cavs?
Baker.
Do you want to do your Cavs read the Browns read before we do the Cavs, the Tri-C?
No, we'll do
Cuyahoga?
Yeah.
Browns talk is brought to us by Tri-C. So when we get to the Browns, we'll do the Browns.
Okay,
We'll
so we'll
start
hold
with
off
the
on that.
Cavs.
All
and
right.
It's an unsponsored segment. So if you want to sponsor our
Yeah.
Cavs talk,
Hey.
hit us up.
Yes.
Cavs is coming. The winner is
Yeah.
coming. Cavs got the best record. You got a long winter. Browns are going to be out of here. What a perfect way. Go ahead
People
and
like
hit
this
my
team.
man McNuggets.
The
man.
city
guys-
likes this team.
We
Guys,
need a
I was-
Cavs talk sponsor.
I was saying this to Jay and to Mike before the show, and I'm curious your take on this. The crowd, obviously, this year has been just electric.
15
when
and
the
2 at
Cavs
home.
play.
Best
and
home
the
record.
best home record. And the way the crowd's been for these games, I think, plays a big role in why they've been so good at home. And part of the reason I think it's so crazy there is because, think about this. Since Doherty, Price, Nance, maybe one or two exceptions. But for the most part, for 30 years, the Cavs have either had LeBron and it was championship or bust, or the team sucked. There's basically been no in between.
Right.
Now, you got a little taste of it last year, but right now this team feels good, but you're not sure how good. Like, they could lose in the first round of the playoffs. They could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe they can even go to the finals. They have the third best record in the league. They're 2 games back in Milwaukee for the best record in the league. So there's this unknown energy about the Cavs from the fans that we haven't really had in decades.
It's true.
And I think that plays into this energy.
They'd be the
that
1
crowd
seed
has.
in the West right now.
You know what? I think he said a lot there too, though, as far as that fan. And you if you listen to these players, you listen to Mitchell about why they're so good at home.
Yeah.
They mention the fans. And of course, players always say that. They say we've got the best fans in every sport.
Sure,
you know?
sure, yeah.
But you can tell when they're saying it. These guys mean it. And if you've been to those games, then you know what a factor that is, and the record proves it. What they did was, unlike the other 2 franchises in this town, I do believe this, they have done a very good job training their fan base, and appreciating their fan base, and not only in the good years, but in the lean years too. And those years when the Cavs stunk and LeBron wasn't here and post Price and Doherty, they were always making sure that place was still full of Boy Scouts for free. Or Boys and Girls Clubs people for free. Loudville, giving them these tickets and making sure, and feeding that fan base, making sure they have a giveaway every night for kids and stuff like that. They've really encouraged the youth to encourage and support this team.
Smart.
And they've been doing it for a decade. So those kids who were 8 years old back then going to a game as a Cub Scout are now 18 years old and saving enough money and going to a game. So Dan Gilbert, for some of his failings, has shown a real appreciation and an understanding of the fan base and what they appreciate and what they like in a way that the Browns organization and the Guardians/Indians have not.
And I'll even go to your point and add on to that. The Browns used to have one of the best advantages in all of football with the dog pound, right? But now they've stripped a lot of that stuff away from the dog pound. I was laughing and joking the other day. I was like, is there a thing called a dog pound anymore? Do we even signify what that is?
Now they just call it like the whole stadium is the dog pound.
It's the memory of what used to be.
Yeah.
But for anybody
it's a
that
shadow.
watched one quarter of football in the real dog pound
Yeah.
knows that what they try to pass off as the dog pound now is laughable. It's just nowhere near the same energy because, gee, that happened organically.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody named it the dog pound until Hanford Dixon realized those are dogs. Those are our dogs. And it was a different experience watching the game from there.
In fairness, almost everything that was happening in the dog pound in the 80s would be considered highly problematic at this point
Well,
in history.
most of it was illegal.
Right.
Yeah, most of it was, literally.
Yeah.
It was
So,
very
I'm not sure they want to go back to that.
Yeah.
But that stuff happens organically. You can't title a section
you can't.
and have it.
It's like
you
the
know,
black hole with the Raiders.
Right.
You know?
It has to happen for
And
real.
so
You
the
can't.
Cavs, to me, like they have the best home court advantage. Now, Roracle was big back in the day. You used to feel the energy, and you used to actually be intimidated when you used to see the Cavs in 16 go play the Warriors. I'm like, man, it's loud. Those dagger threes, the roof is coming off the building in the first quarter. But I'm gonna tell you this: they trained the Cavs fans that they understand that no lead is too big. They can always come back. And they bring up a level of play, and they understand that the players feed on that. And the great thing about it is, Donovan Mitchell, when they were chanting MVP, I'm like, yeah, keep chanting that MVP because you guys have a lot to do and say with how many All-Stars they get, how much people want to come play here. And all of that matters, and you could just do that by just doing your part.
Yeah.
Did anybody see Mitchell's comments about his days in Salt Lake? There was a piece on
Eye-opening.
I was
Oh,
stunned.
you mean these aren't recent? How recent?
Yeah, it was
No,
yesterday.
like
Oh, okay.
before the game.
It was before the game because
essentially
Salt
said-
Lake was in town.
Yeah.
He opened the diary
Really?
on his time in Salt Lake and talked about racial, well, first of all, I think that what I took away from it being a Cavs fan is how proud I am to be from here. He said it's so nice to be playing in a city that respects and appreciates diversity, and it looks like me.
Right.
And then he talked about his time in Salt Lake, about how just experiences that he had and experiences. He talked about a young boy or girl, I'm not sure, who committed suicide because they were being bullied because of their skin color. And he talked about how one time he had a police altercation where he was pulled over, and as soon as they found out he was Donovan Mitchell, the whole tone changed. Oh, bro, you're
Yeah,
good.
got you.
You're good.
Yeah,
And it
got
was,
you.
and the author of the piece, whose name escapes me right now, he writes a lot for CBS, made a point to basically say this is no secret in NBA circles.
Sure.
Yeah.
This has been an experience for African American players in Salt
Right.
Lake for a very long time. Obviously, the percentage of black population in Salt Lake is far different than it is in Cleveland. But
it's low.
what surprised me was that he was so open about it.
Yeah. Do you think it's appropriate? Do you think is he burning Utah to the ground there? I mean, is that the organization's fault?
Listen, if I'm a free agent, I think that kind of weighs into my future thinking.
right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so he didn't do Salt Lake any favors, but I mean, he spoke his truth, and I'm always okay with people speaking their truth.
I'm fine with it.
Russell Westbrook had an issue.
And they talked about it.
Yeah.
Now, in the piece, they talked about opposing players that had issues, and his point was, I'm
to
one
be
of
there.
them.
Yeah,
And I saw it, and I
yeah.
had issues.
Yeah, he had to park
It was
there.
just it was a strong take for a guy who generally comes off as being, I don't want to say PC, but he's always saying the right thing.
And that's an intentional thing he did, obviously.
and there's no
because
question
it's not
he
like
did
that was
that.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
He went in there with an intent, and he waited
Yeah.
for this game to talk about it. Also, I will notice, Lauri Markkanen, none of the same complaints so far in Utah. Did you
Yeah,
notice
we haven't
that?
heard that. Well, he played well
weird?
last night.
He actually had a good game.
He's been playing
He's
well.
But
thriving.
The Cavs play.
Laurie Marketing is good.
He's all he had to do was
The
get to
Cavs
Salt
could
Lake
use-
City.
Obviously, we would take that trade 100 times out of 100. But I'd like to have Lauri Markkanen
The
back.
thin fit.
I
I
would
want
too.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to
He'd
get.
be a perfect fit.
I would too. He was a big piece.
He's
that
the
we gave
missing
up.
piece.
I'm
that
trying
Let
to
me
get
read
so
some
do I.
numbers
I love him.
from the game that I think speak to what you guys are talking about how the crowd energizes this team.
Yeah.
We already talked about the 15-2 best home record in the NBA. The Cavs shot 61%.
Yeah, they were on fire.
The Jazz shot 39%.
Yeah.
And that was that's a product of the crowd feeding the defensive effort of the Cavaliers. From three-point range, the Jazz shot 29%. The Cavs doubled that at 58%. You're going to win all of your games if these are the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to win all of your games
122.99.
if Isaac Okoro scores double
How
double
about
figures.
that?
You're going to win all your
He
games.
had.
I know.
I mean, he was way up there.
Okoro!
It was nuts.
But everybody, they had, 7 guys in double figures, I think?
It was very
Yeah.
balanced. I think
Yes.
Mitchell led with 23.
And he only played 23 minutes.
Allen had 20, and Garland had 17. And I think the way it was dispersed last night, like I never thought, he needs to get more involved.
6 players in double figures last night.
That's
It was
incredible.
7.
Is
They
it 7?
were really,
Seven?
really, really good last night. And
Yeah,
I would-
because Jetty, all the starters had double digits, and Jetty and Levert had double
Yeah,
digits.
you're
And
right.
everybody shot over 50%.
Yes.
I mean, it was just
I
insane,
would
their
argue
shooting percentage.
they've had bigger wins, like beating the Celtics early in the season was
Sure.
a bigger win. I'd argue that was their best performance of the season, start to finish, against the Jazz team that's pretty damn scrappy.
I thought the Mavericks just last week, I thought that was a pretty damn impressive, too.
That was, but
The
you
win
look at the
in
shooting
Dallas.
numbers and how they held Utah, who averages I think 117 points a game to
Yeah.
under
I also-
100.
Although they're not as good on the road.
They're not as Jazz
either.
aren't as good as they're playing either. I don't think. I think that
Yeah.
they're going to realize.
And they're like the Cavs. They're much better at home. But it was, in a lot of these Cavs games, there's been one quarter where they've played crappy basketball, even when they win.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that. Like, they dominated the first half, and then it was pretty even scoring in the second half. But they actually outscored them in all 4 quarters last night. So
Impressive,
it was,
impressive.
and I'll tell you another thing about this team, which helps, and the Guardians have this too, and the Browns don't. The team's likable.
Yeah.
Very likable.
They're very likable.
And they like each other.
They like each other, and we like that as fans, don't we?
I think we do.
We like it.
Yeah.
It's in a way it's silly. Maybe it doesn't matter. When I feel like the players on my team like each other, it gives me a warm feeling. I like that.
We're watching them have fun, and it
Right.
becomes more fun for us, the
Yes.
experience. Whether
Yes.
it's a TV or
Yes.
we're in the arena, it's that really rubs off. People love to watch other people have fun.
It always
Yes.
felt a little mercenary when you would see like LeBron and Kyrie out there because you
Right.
knew that they they weren't like fond of each
No.
other necessarily, but they were there for a purpose. You could fight through it. But if those two like every once in a while they genuinely hug each other, high five, and we were all like, "Oh, good, they like each other.
right,
oh,
right,
thank
right.
God." You know what I mean? But with
like-
this team, they're
Yeah.
like that all the time.
Yes.
You know.
And those guys, and for I guess lack of better term, those guys are elitists. Like Kyrie
Yeah.
and LeBron are never gonna make you feel like
Warm and fuzzy.
like
No.
nah, like they're
We're
like
all
I'm here to
equals.
do
We're
a job.
The Cavs have warm and fuzzy players.
Yeah, like
they
and,
do.
And plus, you saw them be cultivated. You saw
Yeah.
them get put together. You added Donovan Mitchell. They look like they like each other, and they have a different piece or part. Like everyone plays different.
Yeah.
So there's not like before it would be like, okay, well, how many shots Kyrie get? How many shots LeBron
Right.
gonna get? Like it was
Well,
just.
I mean, think about it. The breakup eventually, and this is often the case, stemmed from who was getting the credit.
Right.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
whose team is
Right.
it? Who and
And
Kyrie
golly.
thought he could do it on his own.
Man, wow! I haven't heard that in a while. But how cringy is that when it says whose team is this?
Exactly.
Like,
It's
Right. so
Like
stupid,
that,
right.
and we used to talk about that all the time.
I know.
Like, whose team is this? Who gets the credit? Legacy type things, and people need to understand your legacy is something you can't put together in the present.
Yeah.
Like you got to be living to play games. Legacy stuff is for Bulls kids to decide.
They could've- but you know what? They could've
Bulls
put
kid
down-
decides that.
They could have put down a hell of a legacy here.
Yeah.
they
They
really
could've
could have.
won.
Oh, yeah.
They could have won.
They could have won multiple championships.
And who knows
should've.
if they stayed together and were still
Right.
together? Who knows what could have become
Yep.
from that? But what to your guys' point,
Kyrie
about-
wouldn't have found the internet.
By the way, the Nets are playing
and
very
thought the world was
In
flat.
fairness to Kyrie right now, the Nets are playing very good
They
basketball
are.
right now,
They
too.
are.
6-0 in their last
Yeah.
The Nets have turned it on. The Sixers are
The
too.
East, the 1 through 6 in the East
Here's
is
the thing
really
with the
good.
Nets, though, knowing the volatility of that team.
Oh,
and
yeah, it
him,
could fall apart.
Like, you know, that's the thing. Like,
Plus,
you don't
he's
feel-
going to get hurt at some point.
Yes, you don't feel that way with the Cavs. You know, that, like, you can feel comfortable that they're
Yeah.
going to be just solid, if nothing else,
All
for
that
the next,
being
like,
said,
3
though,
years.
Yeah.
I would not want to see that team in the playoffs if they were healthy.
No. I want nothing to do with
I don't
them if
want
they're
them.
healthy.
I don't want
agree.
them around.
By the way, who is your favorite Cavalier? Not who's the
Ever?
best. No, current players.
Oh.
Who is your favorite player?
Mitchell.
I think
Jarrett
Mitchell for me too.
I think I got to go Jarrett Allen.
Jared
too.
Allen's my favorite
I got to
player.
go Jarrett Allen.
He's obviously not the best.
No,
but
he's not the best, but he's
there's
got the
just
right.
something about
he's got the
him.
right combo of like the right demeanor and enough talent. Like if he's
Yes.
stunk, he's not like, no offense to Lopez, bless his heart.
Yeah.
But like he's got that kind of like laid back personality and stuff like that you enjoy. But also it's like, well, but Allen's actually also like excellent.
He's
Very
got
good.
like the laid back Lopez, the energy on the court of what's his name? The little white point guard that we used to have.
Deli.
Deli.
Yeah.
He's got like that energy on the court, but he's way more talented.
Yes.
And you put that together, and it's just like
He's great in
it's
interviews
so much
too.
fun.
He's great in interviews too. He's
He
so
just
chill.
seems like the
Last night
most
for me?
down-to-earth guy on the face of the earth.
I guess what we're saying is we want to hang out with you, Jared Allen.
I
if you're
do.
watching. Bull and I want to hang out with you.
Yes.
I like that quote.
Jared
He had
Allen says that some of the credit for his big
cheese,
score night.
sausage, and egg biscuit for dinner. That's why he played so
I
well.
love breakfast.
See, there
for
you
dinner.
go. That's what he says.
I have a quick
I
Cavs
know.
story that plays into what G said about this team camaraderie and this team being so likable. I got a friend who works in the Pacers front office.
Yeah.
They
Here we
actually-
go.
No, they came to town last week, so I
Name
went out to dinner
dropper.
with some of them.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell y'all where we went because I don't want to put them on the spot.
Right.
There was like 9 Cavs out together on a Thursday night eating dinner, and they were they weren't in a scene. They didn't have a posse. It
I
was
already
just-
know where you was at. Go ahead.
We'll talk after.
We ain't gonna out you.
And they were laughing, and it was
Good.
not like Garland was there, Mitchell was there, little Mobley. I didn't see
Yeah.
big Mobley, but little or older Mobley, even though he doesn't play. What's his name? Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Yeah, Isaiah was there, and they were in the corner of the restaurant. They kind of had like their own section. You could hear them laughing. There was no girls. It was just
You were,
dudes hanging out.
of course
Bros.
not. No girls. Get out of the way.
Unlike the Browns Saturday night. Heard about that?
Oh boy.
But like that happens on road trips a lot.
Yeah.
You don't think about that happening the night
When they're
before a
home.
home game.
Yeah.
And-
I wonder,
yeah.
was
They're
it
like, let's
was
go
it-
hang
was
out more after we just played
Yeah,
this basketball
I know.
game together.
Was it their Christmas celebration? You know how companies get
I
together?
don't know. It wasn't the whole squad wasn't there, but
Right.
they were just hanging out and like it.
I love to hear
genuinely-
it.
My buddy pointed out. My buddy
Yeah.
goes, "I don't think our guys would ever do that." And I was
Wow.
Now
That's big.
Now picture this. Now picture like Brad Sellers in here saying like, one morning I woke up and Michael Jordan had put a horse head in my bed. It's like completely different.
By the way, one guy we haven't mentioned, and have we ever seen a Cleveland athlete go like think about Kevin Love. When the Cavs first traded for Kevin Love,
Yeah.
we loved it.
Yeah.
We were writing songs, we were celebrating.
Sure.
And then he was taking like a downward trajectory. It's like he wasn't as good here as he was in Minnesota, even though there's no way he could have ever been that
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But we expected more. But he was part of the championship, so we started to go up again. And then after the championship, well, not after the championship, but after the team broke up, and he signed that big contract.
Remember
and
that play he had 2 years ago? We wanted him out of town that
He
night.
was down here.
We wanted him out of town that night.
I remember saying, give him away
Yes.
for anything. And now we love him again.
Yeah. Yep.
I've never seen a guy go like this.
And look
Yeah.
at his role.
We
His
are
role
fickle.
now is off the bench. He provides a spark and leadership. That's
Yes,
the one thing
huge.
that this current roster
Right.
lacks.
He's better in that role.
Oh, he's
than he
fabulous
was.
in that role.
And to Donovan Mitchell, circling all the way back to Donovan Mitchell, you talk about leadership with Kevin Love, which he definitely has shown. Donovan Mitchell, the team, I thought it was interesting that Jetty said after the game that Donovan Mitchell's our leader because I didn't remember any of the guys saying that publicly, but like think about it, like first of all, it's not like Donovan Mitchell's been in the league for 12 years. I mean, he's a more veteran than
Right.
the other best players, but not by that much.
He's the
and
new guy
new.
on a team that had 3 All-Stars.
Yeah.
And
And
he's
for-
the leader.
And that's pretty impressive. And he talked. I heard Mitchell after the game last night say, you know, the leadership is helping the team, but it's also helping me a lot. Like I can't remember exactly what he said about like why it helped him. I forgot exactly what he said, but he made the point like he thinks it's made him a better player because he said he wasn't very vocal in Utah, and now he's become more vocal.
He's got that alpha dog
No
in
doubt.
him. You know what I mean?
Without being
without being a D about it.
You know,
You're
yeah.
right, and he's got that in him, and that's something that Garland doesn't have. That's the other thing. Like he's
Garland's a Robin.
He is.
He's
and
a Robin.
He
Yeah.
can close out a game. He's an amazing player and everything. But and you can throw you can pass him the ball at the last minute and he's not gonna freeze up. But he doesn't have that. Let's go. I'm taking you down the court
Yes,
and we're gonna get
right.
this bucket.
Now, Darius, before you think about, saying I got to go find some place where it's my team, we love you.
yeah.
Love
You
you.
don't need to be a Robin.
Love
Every
him.
Batman needs a Robin, and he's Robin A.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
to call him Robin means like he's almost the wingman. I do think
you're right. He's better than that.
than that.
Absolutely.
So Robin, although that
Could they be the Wonder Twins? Remember the Wonder Twins? back in the
I
day?
don't.
there you go. He's one of the Wonder Twins.
I look at it just like Brad
Good
said.
analogy.
I look at him as Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars.
Yeah.
And when you look at that team, you say, well, who's the leaders? And it's the guys who had the ball. Those two guys. Garland isn't like some slouch himself.
No, not at all.
No.
And when you look at what Donovan Mitchell was able to do, and by the way, I disagree, Big Nuggets. I think they do get 2 All-Stars, and they might get 3.
No chance. With all due respect, no chance.
Yeah.
No, I don't see the big guys are.
It's going to be hard, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be
The
really.
East is so, and we'll run down.
It's
we got
loaded.
Some other stuff to get into today, and we'll do this topic next week when we have a little more sample size. We'll be officially a third through the season, and All-Star voting did open up today. So vote for your Cavs. We retweeted it on UCSS. Check that out. Retweet it. Send these guys to the All-Star game. Show them how much you appreciate what they've done for the season. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, G, and we'll run through this next week.
It's ridiculous.
It's stupid loaded at every position. It is so talented. It always used to be the West had the majority of the stars.
Yeah.
It migrated East, man. It's crazy how loaded both the front court and the back court are.
I'm going to tell you this. If the Cavs got the number 1 or 2 record, which they have a shot at getting, 1 or 2.
They play Milwaukee tomorrow, right?
They win.
And we have, and for
They
all
win
you
that
Cavs
game.
fans out there, we just spent 20 minutes talking Cavs. We're going to do about 40 minutes on the Cavs tomorrow between True and False, the bucket game, and the preview.
Okay.
This is the ultimate Cavs second hour of the show tomorrow.
Great.
Jason Lloyd tried the bucket game, did not get it right, and he knows the Cavs as well as anyone in town. So
Oh, really?
you guys are in for
There's
a treat.
still time, I think, but I don't think it's gonna be hard for Mobley and Allen to get on the All-Star team.
Oh, no, I think Jarrett Allen has a shot. Like, I think all 3 of them.
There's no more center position, G. It's just guard and forward.
Yeah, it's guard or
just keep that
forward
in
now.
mind.
Well, do the coaches still pick?
It's
They
fan vote the starters,
And then the
it's
coaches fill out the roster.
So that's how you get some
They should make
actual
the teams
rational
bigger.
people.
Yeah, have them go party. Why not? Put a few more on there. But I honestly, do you care? I mean, it's nice if they are all-stars, but you think they're going to, play harder?
They had
Do
3
you think-
last year and didn't get the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, maybe it's better in a way
really
if they
care.
can keep them hungry, maybe.
I do.
You do?
I
You
wanna
want that
play.
recognition?
Because here's the thing. I want those guys to have that feeling.
To
that feeling
invulnerable.
That feeling translates during the rest of the year. You come off that break, and if you playing bad, you can look around and be like, come on, bro, we had 3 All-Stars. We got two All-Stars. Let's get it
Largely
done.
symbolic, though. I think that if you want, the Cavs have now what you want. They have a well-balanced team with a nice mix of veterans, young guys, superstars. I think they've got guys that fit into that category. I think that the balance on this Cavs team is really unlike anything we've seen. Even during the LeBron years, they had the triumvirate of LeBron, Love, I would throw Love in there, and Kyrie. But this team has depth. This team has an all-star caliber player coming off the bat. I love the mix of this team.
I think we all hope that maybe they could take LeVert and upgrade on him.
It'd be nice.
And then get Rubio back here at some point, which they are.
Well, they
and
say
then we'll
January
see.
for Rubio, right?
Whenever.
Is Kyle Korver still playing? Is he?
I think he's retired.
Kyle
he's-
Korver's a shooting coach in the NBA now.
Yeah,
Of course he is.
Can we get him to come out of retirement just to spot up like a couple places over somewhere and hit a couple shots?
Play him on offensive
How about
quarter on
Ray Allen?
defense.
We got Ray Allen.
Yeah, tap
Yeah.
out.
Larry Bird want to come back?
I do believe they need one more player. They need one more player if they're going to beat the Bucks. I think Giannis is just too much of a monster. I think they need some more three-point shooting. If they continue to play defenses the way they're playing, they'll beat a lot of teams. But they're not that. They're not, and they have to have home court advantage. They can't beat.
They're going to struggle on the road.
On
Yeah.
their home court.
Nope.
Maybe
They can't
Brad's
do that.
right. Maybe they should call Carmelo Anthony.
No,
He's out
no.
there.
No.
Listen, I
Why?
love Brad.
He's wrong about
In
Carmelo.
my opinion, that's the worst idea possible.
He's extremely washed.
Not
Why?
only
Because of the chemistry
I just
problem
and I
that
think,
could.
Not that he's a bad egg by any means. I think he at this point of his career he understands what he is. But Darius Garland was 6 years old watching Melo as a rookie, and there's that weird young players always play well with LeBron because they just defer to LeBron naturally. It's it's LeBron. I got. Melo has to come in, and if he was to be involved with this team, he just has to be a piece. And I think guys with that stature and that resume have a really hard time just being a piece, even later in their career with young guys, because they don't know how to just make him
Very
an
few
ancillary
have done
part.
it. Very,
Yeah.
very,
All right, Mike. That's
I
a
mean,
good
what
point.
we're talking about with Kevin Love. Kevin Love is doing it.
I bring. You know why I would bring him in? It's for the simple fact. I think sometimes younger players, we coddle them a lot. We'll say, "Oh, we can't do that." He'll get confused. Remember, we said, "Well, Baker spreads the ball around better, and if he feels he has to throw it to one guy, he's going to get confused." Listen, I need all the pieces and parts I can get.
And to your point, G, and Mike, this is what even though you make a fair point, if, let's say Carmelo's screwing up the chemistry, then you
They
cut
get
him.
rid of him.
You can get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a long-term contract.
It's a no-risk move.
Yeah.
There has to be a better.
I think the game's big.
And Donovan Mitchell, you got a buffer on all that now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if it was just Darius Garland and Mobley, a lot of soft-spoken dudes, they might not. Donovan Mitchell ain't gonna have.
There's a
people,
clear-cut leader now.
Come in here acting up.
True.
That ain't gonna work.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. That's where we were going to shift gears and go to the Browns. So do you want to do your read here?
Yeah, it's time to do our read, and let me pull up the Tri-C read from our good friend Yak, who's upstairs. And guys, let me tell you about Hoga.
Cuyahoga.
I'm going to keep you off guard. I'm going to change it every day. I'm going to tell you about Cuyahoga Community
What's
College.
Cuyahoga?
Because Browns Talk is sponsored by Cuyahoga Community
Cuyahoga.
College. Tri-C,
Why you say
depending on how you want to
Cuyahoga?
pronounce it, supports their students financially, professionally, and personally while opening up the doors of endless possibilities. Tri-C, Hoga, Haga, your choice. The future starts now, and it begins at Tri-C, Hoya, Haga, Cuyahoga.
school.
Classes begin January 17th, 2023.
Cuyahoga.
I think you should just stick with Tri-C there.
You know what the issue is? It's spelt out as I gotta phonetically listen. A little behind the scenes for you guys,
Yeah.
people.
Oh, can't wait.
This is the old sponsor reads that we've had. All three of these are no longer sponsors, so we have to update this with.
Yeah.
Don't mention that.
Get our new partners on
No,
there.
PC. Listen, people are gonna ask, "Where's PCC?" Eddie sent us a jingle today. I'm not going to play the jingle because PCC's no longer with us.
The problem is we just became so popular and expensive.
Well,
You know
here's
what I
the
mean?
thing with PCC.
It was a help wanted ad.
I always looked them as a short term. I'm stunned that they advertised with us for 8 months. They were asking for people to come work there.
Right.
It wasn't buy our product.
Right,
it
right,
was,
right.
No,
it was a help wanted ad. It was
Yeah.
the most
And we love
expensive
listen, we
help
love
wanted
PCC.
ad ever.
I know. Thank you, PCC. Appreciate it. Great
I've never
airfoils.
seen a company's advertise it. Nothing about our product, about
Right.
how great we are. Want a job?
So
Come
I'm gonna have
work
to
for
spell
us.
out phonetically on this paper how to pronounce that
Kai.
word because I've been here.
Cuyahoga.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
It's a word that means crooked river. It's true. Just so you know.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe
And to
that.
show you guys, I had to spell Wycliffe, Menor, and Minerva is hypothetically spelled out on this.
You had a
sheet.
real hard time with Minerva.
You gotta
for a
keep-
while.
I
I
did.
think you just
I
said
should.
hypothetically.
Yeah, I know. Just let it go. You gotta keep shouting out Minerva still. We love you,
Minerva,
Minerva.
yeah.
What we
You're
could do
still a
with
part of our
Minerva- how we do
lives.
Minerva, you know what? I'll make an executive decision, Steve. Our water bottle toss to end each show now is brought to you by the City of Minerva.
All right.
The City of Minerva is sponsoring our water bottle
The
toss to
Minerva
end the
water
show.
treatment plant.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, very good.
And,
Yeah,
and we're going to end each show. We're
There
going to
it
end
is.
Final
That
Takes
is
now at
a new
12:57.
feature.
I am at
on
a
the
disadvantage, by the way, because I got to go like this.
You do. That's a tough angle, but you're the
Excuses.
closest to the basket.
And I'm not like all that nimble
And if,
right
if you're in the chat, the first person to make it, let's give him some sort of prize. So
Maybe I'll turn and go like this.
Well, first of all, let's tell them what we're talking about. For 8 months,
Yeah.
when I'm done with my Gatorade, I try to make it into the basket. And everybody else has started doing that. So now we're going to do it officially. We're going to end every show. We're going to give you a reason to stick around to the very end.
What a thrill.
if we're
Every
any
single
good at
day,
throwing a ball.
we're going to end the show with all of us having a shot with our water bottle to make it into the basket.
We recognize that you have a lot of content
Yes.
options right now in society, and we just hope that this is the thing that pushes you over the edge
Yes,
to
right.
stick around and watch us.
I might take out camera one though. I think
might.
I've hit it twice straight.
I think I've hit this light a lot.
They're lying to you guys. They don't just do it haphazardly or just at a certain time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They be throwing them joints. We be having
In the
interviews.
interview.
They be like, bombs away.
Jay and
Mid-show.
Jason.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jay
Yeah.
Jason. Don't
Some poor fantasy football guys like, you should try and pick up this running back. You're boom, boom, boom,
Pow,
boom.
pow. Aditi in the middle of a
That's
Browns
fact.
take.
It's happened many
Yeah.
times.
But you know what would be fun? When we have guests that come in, they can now do it and
Sure.
be part of this with us,
That's
and it'll
true.
be a fun little thing we
We
do.
used to,
So-
I used to do a thing on the set of First Take. I called it the pencil drop. There was a hole drilled in the platform of the set. And on the rejoin, which was every day at 11 a.m., I would, on live TV, take the pencil and try to drop it standing up from my head level into the hole. It got to be a thing where a lot of the athletes, when they came in, said, let me try it. Only 2 guys tried it, made it on their first try. Steve Smith and Ocho Cinco.
Wow.
They both on their first try. Came in,
Some people just have a
Lined it
gift.
up.
Some people just have a gift.
dropped it. Yeah.
McNuggets, what you should do is you should ask the people in the chat, when we get freed up and football season is over, what's one guest that they want us to go after to get on the show?
Non-football guests?
Non-football. Non-football.
I think we should say non-football.
Non-football guests.
Okay.
Just to have some,
Just to have some fun. Mix it up.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. Anthony will monitor that, and we'll read some of those as our new What the Internet Says, sponsored by Cleveland Whiskey, which we'll do later in the show. So,
guys, one thing on the Browns that I wanted to hit on is, like, I understand. I think we all understand there's very little chance the Browns are going to make it to the playoffs. But I have fun talking about their remote chance. I don't know why. I feel like people get annoyed every time me or anybody else brings it up. I get that.
I like it.
I get that it's depressing because their chances are one. I know New York Times I think had it less, but I've been looking at the 5-3-8, and they have the Browns with a 1% chance to make the playoffs. So if you think of it this way, if they played the final 3 games of the season, the entire schedule, 100 times, one of those 100 times the Browns will make it to the playoffs. We understand, I think, all of us, that that's a remote chance. But until it's over, why not root for that random chance that the Browns could get in?
We're all rooting for it, but Bull, it's just not going to happen.
Don't they need like 2 teams to lose every one of their
Every
games?
single game remaining.
For the Jets and the Dolphins, right?
I don't think so.
17 outcomes that have to break favorably for the Browns.
I know
in one scenario.
I know I think either the Dolphins or Ravens have to lose out. One of those 2 teams has to lose out.
Yes.
I don't think the Chargers matter anymore. Or I guess
none of it matters.
Well, if they played the season out 1,000 times, only 7 they would make the playoffs.
That's fine.
No, I saw 1 out of
no.
That one's 0.7. On 538 it says 1%.
Well, because they round up.
The actual particulars.
No, they have point.
The actual particulars are irrelevant to this. You know that.
Yes.
Whatever the team is, all of that. Fair. Which team has to lose and stuff like that. Here's why Bill's still right. Remember a few months back when the Powerball went over $1 billion?
Yeah, and everybody got a ticket.
Tickets. Everybody's talking about it. It was a conversation starter.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with having that dream. There's
Why
nothing
can't we
wrong.
have that hope?
Let's
We
enjoy
know
it.
We know it's almost not
say
like,
it's 1 in 100.
Right.
That's 1 in 100 as opposed to with the lottery where it's like 1 in 8 billion, and we're all walking around saying like, "Here's what I'd do if I won."
Well,
it's a good conversation.
Here's why
starter.
though. If the Browns make the playoffs, our lives change not at all. If you win the Powerball, your life, your children's lives, their children's lives, and their children's lives change dramatically forever.
Of course.
So,
but if the Browns make the playoffs, from a sports perspective, it does change your life. Like
for a minute.
No, not for a minute.
Until they lose in the first round.
If they go into that if the Browns make the playoffs, I don't think it's a short thing they lose in the first round.
Yeah, they can surprise anybody. Houston beat Kansas City last
However,
night.
I get
I'm surprised at you, Bull, right now.
Listen,
I'm rooting for it, but I know it's
realistic.
He's saying there's nothing wrong with the idea.
I'm just saying it's fun to say, what if it happens? And the only thing I'm asking for right now is for them to be mathematically alive going into the final game. Because then it might only be 7 games that have to go their way or 5.
Yeah.
And, who knows? Now, that's probably not going to happen. If they lose, they're officially eliminated.
Yes.
They're also eliminated
if one of 4 teams win this weekend. I can call it up.
You sure about that? I thought I thought the Chargers, Ravens, and Dolphins all had to win to eliminate them.
To my understanding,
Chargers, Raiders, Dolphins.
I thought there had to be a 17-game sequence.
I think if the Patriots win too, they're eliminated.
Well, but they're only 1 game behind the Patriots. So if
right, but there would be 2 left, and they couldn't catch them because they'd be tied, and the Patriots have the tiebreaker.
That sounds decent.
No, but if the Patriots are only a game ahead of them right now, so if they both win, the Patriots are still only 1 game ahead, with 2 to go. So the Browns could win their last 2, Patriots could lose their last 2, and they'd finish ahead of them.
I'm gonna have a much better.
And the Patriots are gonna get their ass kicked this weekend.
I got a much better hypothetical.
The Bengals.
Yeah, they do.
So, say for instance, someone comes to you and says, a genie.
Yeah.
The great genie, football genie, comes to you and says, listen, if the Browns win the rest of their games, finish with a 9-8 record, you can have 1 or 2 things. You can either have your first round pick from this year back or go to the playoffs. Which one would you pick?
First, you mean this coming draft?
Yes.
I'd go to the playoffs.
I'd go to the playoffs too.
100 times out of 100 for me.
What was the question?
So a genie comes up to you with a
it's
magic
a genie
lamp.
scenario.
Oh,
And
I
he
love
sa-
those.
and he
Me
says,
too.
You're 9-8. If you win out, we'll give you a mulligan. We'll give you a wish. If you go 9-8 and you win out, you can either get into the playoffs
with the crazy tiebreakers.
Yes, or I'm going to give you your first round pick from this
First
year
round
back.
pick.
I think
Every
first
time.
round pick.
First
Yeah.
round pick.
No chance.
Because
No,
the
I wouldn't even
ultimate
think
goal of fans is to win the Super Bowl,
Yeah, but-
and they ain't winning it with 9-8 this year.
Like-
They're just not. The team isn't good enough.
Do we just win?
But
in
I
this-
would love
in
to
this
have
scenario,
a first-round pick to help us win for the next 10 years.
In this scenario, do we just win 5 in a row with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, like it does. That means
And he's
that
getting
would-
better and
5 out
better.
of 6.
That
Oh,
would mean
right.
you
5 out of 6.
Guys,
You
here's
5
why
or
we
6.
can't buy the fool's gold that's going to happen, even if it does.
Okay.
Let's talk about the teams and the quarterbacks that are on the schedule right now that the Browns have to play.
Right.
Both, so Houston.
Houston almost beat Kansas City.
They did. But, I mean, let's face it.
anything can
Real
happen.
quick,
They're still
on
the worst
Houston,
team in the
Kansas City
NFL
game,
right
Polk,
now. I mean,
did you
that's a
see-
fact.
I didn't know this. Kansas City had 519 yards of offense. Houston had 231.
Yeah.
And the
That's
game went to
insane.
overtime. That was one of the most
yeah, that's insane.
insane statistically
Very weird
different
game.
games
That is
came
bizarre.
down to the
Jay,
wire.
we
but-
get it.
but-
I get it.
Like,
But
I don't want anybody saying if he runs the table,
Yeah.
it's a great thing. You want to
great.
go into next year with momentum, but it's fool's gold.
So you would take. You said guaranteed. I would
Yeah,
go to.
because I want every shot of the playoffs I can. Do I think the Browns would win in the playoffs? I don't. Do I? I don't even think they win one game, let alone
See,
get
that's
to the
why
Super
I
Bowl.
wouldn't do it.
But I still want those
But
experiences,
Bo,
and I
let
want to
me
be
ask
in
you
there.
this. So
Yeah.
we'll compare, we don't know who that player would be.
Yeah.
But wouldn't a pick in the first round, and let's face it, those are the guys that change your life the most. Not to say you can't get someone in the second, third, fourth, fifth that will change your life. But the highest percentage chance of changing a team's life happens in the first round.
I love watching
That changes you.
Baffled by your own
that,
scenario.
That changes your team for 5, 10, 12 years.
And I'm like, I could get a
So it
receiver and a
improves your
tackle.
chances of
But
making the playoffs.
that's a maybe, right? Just like it's unlikely that the Browns would
But
win
you're
it all.
saying that there's no chance that a 9-8 Browns is
No,
going to
I'm
win.
not saying there's no chance. I
Not
think
no
it's
chance.
unlikely.
Think about Cincinnati last year at the beginning of the season. Would you have seen them in the
That's
Super Bowl?
another
No.
thing.
You never know how it's
They
going to
can
go,
get hot
and they
now.
could have gotten hot. Another
Can I
thing.
add
in
one
fairness,
variable to this?
They have Joe Burrow.
Another thing, next year, Deshaun Watson, heaven forbid something happens, he gets dinged up 2 games in or something like that. We got this great receiver
I
in
would
the
just
draft.
never pass on
Like,
the
why
chance to
take
be
the
in the
chance
playoffs?
when you can
And-
make sure you get into the playoffs now and you win a few games? and you
Especially
get
if
to the
Deshaun
Super Bowl?
Watson plays great down the stretch, I'd at least give him a puncher's chance against some
You
other
want to add
teams.
something to it?
No, I want to add something to this. That this
Yeah.
particular draft class loaded on defensive tackles.
and
Loaded on
that's what we
defensive
need. But you know what?
made it
What's
so
going to
much
be
harder
left
on him.
when we pick at 51?
No. But I'm saying in the first round.
If
Why
we
I
did
want
go
the
with
first
if we
round.
I
did
just
get-
think
Understand?
the
That's
draft,
why I would say give me the draft pick.
the draft is a guessing game. I want to be in the playoffs.
Well, the playoffs are a crapshoot when you're
But
when
so
you have
is
a
the
team that's
draft.
not any good.
But I don't think they're not any. I mean, right now, yes.
Are they going to beat the Bills? Are they going to
I
beat
don't
the
think
Chiefs?
they're going to beat any of those teams.
Are they gonna
but
be-
you
then-
never know.
I would rather get
Yeah.
a player that can help me win it all
Well,
for
you
the next
hope
10
he
years.
can help you. What if he's a bust?
Could the
There's a chance.
Yeah.
With our
Corey Coleman.
With our defensive line
Yeah.
and tackles,
Oh,
I don't even
God.
know if we could. But it would just be some. I asked
a great question.
I don't even know.
Hey, are we good with, you said to try to get Bets down here? Betsy Kling, chief meteorologist.
Like now,
She can come down at 12:30 and talk about the conditions for Saturday's game.
unfortunately, we have Jen at 12:30. We can't move.
So what time are we thinking?
I was thinking later in the week.
I love this scheduling, you
yeah,
guys.
Oh, I thought you said. I reached out to her because I thought you said you'd take her if we could get her. So Wednesday.
You can be in the
tomorrow.
doghouse now, Jay.
Thursday would be ideal if we can, because that way the weather changes so much day to day. And just so you guys know, Betsy Kling is the chief meteorologist upstairs.
Yeah.
They are calling for some insane
Friday
weather conditions Friday
and
then
Saturday.
for
Supposed
the
to be
game.
brutally cold.
Frigid.
hey man, hey, y'all, you know
So we
who?
want
I'm-
to give you guys prepared.
She knows
Okay,
her stuff.
I just said
That's
one
one
try
thing-
for Thursday.
One
BK
thing
knows
that
his
could
stuff.
be big for the Browns.
Thursday is the day of the storm, so I don't know if she'll
So
be able
yeah,
to
maybe
do it
tomorrow.
but I'll
yeah.
try it.
By the way, one thing that could be big for the Browns: Ethan Pochich was designated to return from the IR. For those who don't know, that doesn't mean he's definitely coming back.
No,
It
but
means he
why
can
would they?
practice.
Right.
I think it's a move that's the precursor to him
Right.
being.
It doesn't always happen though.
I know it doesn't always happen,
Yeah.
but the hope is he gets out there and practices, feels
Right.
okay, and plays. And I think that substantially
It
improves our chances.
Yeah, it gives a guy a chance to practice sometimes guys, after a week of practice, are like, he's not quite ready yet. They don't activate him.
Right.
But it gives them a chance to see if he's ready. Obviously, Haagen-Dazs has been terrible at
Can we
center.
acknowledge, though, that he's in a terrible position, obviously, he's never played that
He had
spot.
never played the position ever.
Just imagine that. All of a
That's
sudden,
tough.
And you're the point person. You start every play with the ball in your hand.
And I actually
it's all
thought-
the counting, it's all the listening. all of a sudden, you just got to do that. You've
I'm
never
not
played that
killing
position.
the guy. In fairness to him, I thought he did an okay job filling in for Wyatt Teller when Teller got hurt at
Oh,
guard.
no. At guard, he was fine.
Yeah.
But at center, not his
He's
fault, but
overmatched.
yeah,
It's
he's
just-
overmatched.
He's doing the best he can, but my
Right.
God, we're on our fourth string.
Did you play center at all?
No.
I just got to imagine that's the most vulnerable position too, because
Oh.
you've got your hip. Here's my neck.
Yeah.
Here's my neck, giant dude. Just do whatever you want.
Back in the day, we weren't getting into that. I fancy myself a borderline skill player. I was like, no. I actually, I went from playing tight end at 250, and then from my sophomore year I was 257. Then I moved all the way up to 263, and they was like, nah, dog.
You can't be
We're not gonna have you playing no tight end.
It looks silly.
And it hurt my heart because that means I couldn't have single digit.
Yeah.
Like I had to play guard. It was like, this sucks.
What number were you?
71.
All right.
71.
Do you read better offensive lineman or defensive lineman?
Oh no, way better. Well, I did make All-State in both of them. So 1 year.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, that's
That's
a
impressive.
fact. Now here's the thing.
Very aggressive.
I will say that when you're playing in high school, they tell you got to play both ways.
How many
regardless.
guys were playing both ways?
All of them.
That
Wow.
seems crazy. You went to a pretty big school, didn't you?
Yeah, but
You
all
didn't have
of
enough,
them.
but
Well, they identified the athlete and they just maximized his.
I know, but
ability.
doesn't that wear you out?
Yeah.
But were the other school when you're playing those private schools, those Catholic
Yeah,
schools?
St. Ed's, St. Ignatius.
They were doing the same thing.
That is
Some.
St. Ignatius, they would say they got 50 people on offense, 50 on defense. That's why what Coach Ginn did, why people are marveling at it, because think about it. He's got inner city kids. And these guys are playing Hoban and guys that got multiple dudes that are going to D1 places just for that position. So think about it 20 years ago, and it's about almost 30 years ago now. We're playing Ignatius when they was Ignatius. They was winning national championships. So it was a huge thing when you won as a city school 2 championships in a row, because that means even if you wanted to get to the championship, you always either had to be Ignatius or you had to be St. Ed's. And then when you got to the state championship game, you played St. X or Moeller, and it's another parochial school. So I wear that with a badge more than anything I did in college.
It is a wild accomplishment, especially in Ohio.
Yeah, it's
Was
crazy.
your quarterback? Who was your best player, skill position wise?
Mike Dawson was our best player.
Oh, but what about quarterback, running
I
back?
saw
Any of those
Dawes just
guys?
went in the Ohio State Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's in.
He keeps a low profile, Dawson.
Oh
doesn't he?
yeah, he's out of the game.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I knew him since this was big, this high, but he's settled down a lot. Our quarterback was Ben McDaniels and Josh McDaniels.
Oh, okay.
Josh McDaniels, the coach for the Broncos.
That's
now?
something.
Raiders.
The Raiders, yeah. So yeah, the coaches, and at the time, and I always tell people, don't really people at the time did not really think that they were the best quarterbacks to play, but what happens is you go back and look at it and be like, damn, they was okay. they was actually pretty good. Back then, you can't even audible with quarterbacks. They had such a good grasp on the system. Maurice Clarett says, he brings up Tom McDaniels all the time. He was my coach. And this dude had a program where it was mandatory. You had to be in the playbook in the summer. We got practice. And this is before they said you couldn't practice or have regular days. He'd be like, oh no, we got practice at 6 a.m. And you're like, why we got practice at 6 a.m. in July?
Oh my God.
That's insane.
Crazy. But it paid
that's why you
off.
won
You
two
want to win a state championship.
Yeah.
It worked.
The deck was stacked it always is. It's stacked so much against public schools.
Yeah, because
especially
they recruit
inner-city
the
public
private schools.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's where the Eds and Ignatius, that's where they're getting their talent from.
Of course.
And it's really, really difficult.
I know in Rocky River,
Tough.
most of our best athletes in Rocky River end up at Ed's and Ignatius.
Yes.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
we got lucky.
Yeah.
We had, off that team, 9 people, 10 people. We won the national championship in '97.
Yeah.
9, 10 people was D1. And that never happens. It just don't happen like that. It's kind of hard. You get one guy that's good. Now you like clap it up. You go 4-12.
Let's dive into the Browns-Saints matchup and see what. It's hard to get a handle on the Saints because they're 5 wins, but this is for first place for them. If they win, they're in first place.
Yeah, they suck.
In the NFC.
I mean,
the whole
suck.
division does.
The
fact of the
sucks.
matter is, you talk about playing meaningful games. This game means way more to the Saints than it does to the Browns.
Isn't it funny how they are, like, all of the teams in that division are simultaneously, like, trying to win their division and tanking? They're tanking, and you don't know who's going to win. It seems like
it's still in play for them to either win the division and host a playoff game,
or get the first pick in the draft.
Wow.
Mind blown.
It is. Yeah, that's a heck of a division.
Yeah, it is. It's bizarre. The Browns would be in first place in that division.
They're in that middling state where you just got rid of, like when you lose your quarterback, a franchise dude, there's always that in-between time.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you go through a divorce and then there's that middle of ground where you're like kind of dating.
Like Bubby Brister years.
and none of the people you're dating afterwards are any like sort of wife materials. You just buy your time and you're doing on little dates. But what you really need to do is get you another quarterback.
And to do that, you got to tank.
You got to tank. And you just don't want to do it. Like, so, you know what? I'm just going to be by myself and work on myself. I need to get a little smaller. I need to stack some money so I can attract a real woman. But you don't want to be by yourself at one point in time. You just like, it's kind of cold.
You know
it's winter.
You know how many wins New Orleans has against teams that are currently over 500?
I'd say they don't.
I don't know.
1.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their best win of the year was early in the season against Seattle, who is now 500.
Yeah.
Now, Seattle, in fairness, Seattle was playing better earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But that's their best win. They've beaten Atlanta twice.
They beat Tampa, didn't they? The first
I
time?
think they lost both times.
Oh,
to
did
Tampa,
they? I thought they
think.
split.
And you know what's
Let's
so
see.
Cool? And
they
got
lost to
ball
Tampa
players.
2010,
They got
and they lost to them 17-16.
They got Kamara, and Chris Olave is playing.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's playing at a high level.
And they beat the Rams. I mean,
the Rams are.
listen, Olave's a great player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alvin Kamara's a really good player, but they don't have much else.
No.
I mean, Andy Dalton.
DeMario Davis.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
That was a big
I mean,
mistake by the Browns letting him go.
like we said, against every single team that the Browns have played this year, it's a game they could win. It's a game they could lose.
I mean, the Browns should win. They're at home, but it's certainly not a sure
what's the
thing.
spread?
They're a 3-point
3-point?
favorite.
Yeah.
There's a 3-point spread, and the over/under is now 31.5.
Lowest I've ever
Dropped
seen.
2
I've
points since
never
January.
seen anything below 33.
31
It
and a
is
half.
the lowest, according to your boy Cleve TA, Bull.
Yeah.
It's the lowest he could find anywhere.
Wow.
Never seen a lower
I've never seen one lower.
over/under.
That's crazy.
And I've been
That
looking at
is.
lines for 40 years.
I've
never seen one that
One
low.
and a half.
They don't think much of our quarterback.
And guys, I wouldn't touch the over.
Nah.
Nah, how could you?
I wouldn't touch it.
I'd probably just stay
I'd
away
take
from
it.
that.
They're probably. I could see some special some defense touchdowns or something like that.
Magically.
Could.
I could see some interceptions.
It's going to be cold as hell, man.
Yeah.
Since that game last week, magically, I just feel confident in the Browns winning games where they don't score that many points. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So you think the defense, the last couple of efforts, that's not a fluke. This is who the defense is now.
Well,
They still can't stop the run.
they still can't stop the run.
And I don't
if
know
you
why.
commit to the run,
Yeah.
you're
and I
going
don't
to
know
beat
why
the
they didn't.
Browns. And
somebody
Baltimore
explain to
just
me why
didn't.
they didn't commit to the
Because
commit to
Greg
the run.
Roman lost his mind.
What happened?
He threw the ball 30 times, and they ran for 200 yards.
Like, why would they do that? I really don't understand. I didn't understand it when it was happening.
If I'm a Baltimore fan, I want Roman gone.
I don't
I
understand
thought about it. Like, I was watching these little prodigies that you know are with chess, right? And some of the chess prodigies, like you're like, what the heck is
Like in a
this?
park? Where were you
Like,
watching?
No, it was on YouTube.
Okay,
like I
all
just
right.
watching. Like I'm going down there, like the top 10. And
Bro,
so
you
them-
need some hobbies.
Yeah, right. I'm
That
watching
don't
chess.
include YouTube.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
I'm watching chess prodigies.
Okay.
And so they talk about how when these prodigies are playing against the computer, right? Because the computer is so doggone good, they have this thing where they get mentally fatigued trying to think 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 steps above, so they make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the computer just capitalizes and wipes them down. It's not that the computer is that much better than those. It's the fact that you're a human
It doesn't
and you
get
have,
tired.
that don't get tired and that can think under pressure. And I think some of these coordinators is just like that. You can't tell me that they don't know the game. Yes, they do. They know it. But what happens is they get mentally fatigued, and they're in those offices coming up with game plans. They sleep deprived. They sleeping under chairs.
But, we've seen that the Browns' defense is historically awful. And their run game is – they've got 2 running backs that average 9 yards per game. Even the in-game body of work was telling you, oh, we got to run.
Even if he brain farts, where's Harbaugh coming over and saying, hey, have you noticed that the Browns are terrible?
And in particular, Dobbins, who looks reborn these last 2 games.
Yeah, he's healthy.
And what's his name? Gus Edwards is the other guy. Was it Gus Edwards?
Yeah,
it's Gus Edwards.
Those 2 guys, if you take out the other, like the quarterback and the other guys, those 2 guys averaged 9 yards per carry in the game.
I don't know why they ever threw the ball. And they got a backup quarterback.
Yeah, who was terrible.
Who was, as we were pressuring him, and we don't pressure, but we were adding more pressure than we normally do, and he was flustered. It was obvious, and yet Greg Roman just kept sending one pass play in after another.
You ever heard this the phrase, hey, I'm going to get a fresh set of eyes to look at this.
Yeah.
And then somebody else will come in, and they don't need to be as experienced as you. They look at it and say, oh, well, you misspelled that.
So he didn't see the forest through the trees.
Nah, I'm confused.
And no one helped him see it.
And you need a dude like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they got guys, quality control guys.
13 carries, 125.
That's crazy.
Now, in fairness, he is coming back from some serious injuries.
That's crazy.
And maybe they have him on a pitch count. But Gus Edwards, he's fine.
Yeah, you could use him.
Could have. I mean, if he carried 25 times, he would have had 250 yards.
Again, I don't know. He is coming back from injury, so you can't. I don't think you can give it to him 25 times. But Gus Edwards was averaging 7 yards or 7.5 yards a carry. Give it to him more. You could have given Dobbins 3 more carries.
I just didn't understand it. I'll never understand it.
Guys, we got to get to Baker though.
You want to do that now?
My boy.
Do Baker, then we'll do top 5.
Okay.
Got to get to Baker.
My boy. Shake and bake.
Yeah.
He was awful.
Awfully
He
good.
was bad, Baker.
He was awful in this game. And Jay said something before the show, and my first reaction was to say, Jay, you're out of your mind. Because you said earlier in the year, the Browns are playing to these extremes, and I thought you guys both said it, and I was like, hey, you guys are crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of teams playing. But on this one, I agree. Baker Mayfield, now, the bad outweighs the good over his career to this point.
In volume.
Yes.
Because what I was referring to was with the ceiling and the floor.
But
not the mean.
There are moments where Baker plays great. And you're like,
he did it here.
And even me, who's crushed Baker a million times, there have been times earlier in his Browns career was like, I guess this guy's pretty good.
We all thought at one point in time that he was the answer.
But
I don't care. The biggest Baker detractor you can find is lying to himself if he's not going to admit that at some point he watched this guy and said, we got him.
For all the crushing of Baker I've done, I think I've always been fair when he's played well. I give him his credit. He did a great job last week coming back. But yesterday he was awful. I understand he doesn't have much around him. But for the first time all season, they got a good running game. Cam Akers played well. He averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I don't know
they
what
didn't give it to him that much.
I mean, God, I don't think they had 200 yards offense.
No.
He had 111 yards passing. I think they had 78 rushing yards.
Right, but
they didn't have 200 yards.
They only had 30-something plays. Mm-hmm. The Packers ran out the last 9 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the Packers. But I think that speaks more to because the Packers are challenged too. I think the Rams without Aaron Donald are just
the Rams are terrible. The Packers are not good, but
they couldn't get the football.
Baker fumbled. Now the Rams recovered it.
Yes,
but he fumbled. He threw a pick, which was it got tipped.
He got hit.
He got hit.
Threw.
Yeah.
It was
didn't get tipped. He got his arm got hit.
He got hit.
But before that pick, there were 3 possessions in a row, and 2 of them, really 3, but where he basically threw a pick and the defender dropped it. Mm-hmm. The first 2 were,
that out he threw was kind of.
You can't make those kind of
mistakes. Here's the weird thing though, and I didn't know this. I specifically wanted to look it up because I thought he didn't even really throw the ball that much. He threw it 21 times. He had 12 completions. He had 6 drops, including one in the end zone, on a possession where they didn't score. It was. So if
are you sure about that? I thought the drop was the play before the touchdown in the end zone.
It was. I'm counting the drop on the cross that he would have walked into the end zone.
But there was
And it
also,
hit him right in the hands. I'm like,
I'm
what
not
in
100%
the hell?
But-
and I think it
yeah.
was, I'm not sure who it was that said it. It was probably Aikman that said, wow, that's a drop touchdown. Because if he catches it and it hit him right where he needed to hit him, there's nobody in front of him.
But he also, like I said, threw a pick. Could
So
have
I mean,
thrown
that's like
at least
18
2-3
of
more.
21. I think he was bad. I'm not going to say that
And
he was.
there was a play to Tutu Atwell where he completed a pass for 10 yards, which would have been a touchdown had he made a throw. Atwell was on the run.
He waited too long to
He
throw
waited
it.
too long. There was a
did.
throw they pointed out that he never threw, and at least two of the sacks were his fault holding the
Took
ball too long.
5 sacks.
Is it justifiable to say, though, that it's kind of hard for anybody to get their act together in like 10 days, not knowing this team, not
That
knowing
first
the
game
offense?
back was
That's
an
why
anomaly.
last week was so incredible.
It was
of
an
course.
anomaly.
And, yeah.
But Bull, to your point,
Yeah.
and this is what I said before the show, there's times where I watch this guy, and it's happened probably 4 or 5 times in his career, where I say he can make every throw. He's got a strong arm. Aikman talked about his arm strength yesterday. There's times where this guy looks like he's the solution. And then there's other times where I look at him and say, he might be one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen.
I know.
And I don't know why the gap between
I think
I'll give
go
you
ahead.
the gap.
Gee.
I'll give you the gap. I used to do these math competitions where it would be speed math, right? And so basically, they teach you the speed read and speed math, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to learn on certain principles and get it to be like it's automatic and don't think. You're like, okay, here's the shortcut. Here's
And
how
that's what he did against the Raiders.
Yes. Or you skim, or you when you speed read, you're not really, you're not reading every word. You're just looking past those words to be able to, retain enough to say you reread it. Context. Now for Baker has a slightly slower processor than other quarterbacks.
No doubt.
And so the processor is sitting there like, okay, how do you get back to your third foot or your drop or whatever you're going 3-step, 5-step? You have to know and diagnose a blitz. You have to diagnose a coverage. You have to diagnose whether that receiver is going to sit or move based on the coverage, and then you have to throw it. You got to do that in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you do
So
it
is
in
he
2
better off just freelancing all the
Yeah,
time?
but you can't win
You can't
consistently
win.
that
I
way.
don't see how he ever does
Yeah,
that.
and that's the problem.
That's the
I don't
problem.
think any team could.
Right. He'd make a great
he's gonna
XFL quarterback.
He's going to
Or
have
just
his
trade him every week on Wednesday.
He's going to have his moments where he looks good, but I just don't see him being. I don't think any team's going to want to trust him as a starter.
If you watch Deshaun Watson, even if he played bad, right?
Yeah.
Or he hasn't played up to his level. The game on Saturday, there was no plays in which the ball was even threatened to be picked off. Like it was just like 1, 2, 3, boop,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 here. And they'll get
High
higher
percentage
and
throws.
higher and higher, and those throws will be higher percentage. But just think if he was processing 3 or 3/10 of a second slower. Now all of a sudden that defender's there, the window's not there.
Yeah.
Now the pressure's getting to you.
His size works against him, and
Yes, that is
ultimately, if you look at all the great quarterbacks in the league, they have, in most cases, many, but they have at least one trait that's elite. Baker
Yeah.
doesn't have any. He's not elite at any part of quarterback.
I don't see
He's
what it would
good
be.
at some things, but he's not elite at
We
anything.
thought
What
it was
about-
the accuracy. Because coming out of
Out of
college,
college,
You know
but
what?
it
I
hasn't
thought
been
it
in
was
the
his
pros.
moxie. I thought
Yeah.
that's what separated him, even at Oklahoma.
Acting chops.
Yeah, I think
I
that's it.
I think the thing with Baker and the moxie is that it sometimes works for him and sometimes works against
well,
him.
when you're playing poorly, you can't have that mind. You
Right.
can't come into the huddle and,
Like,
and
go like,
have everybody's
"We're doing
command
it,
and
guys."
He's
respect.
like the guy sometimes where like things are going well. He's like, yeah, let's get him. But there are times where he's like, he's playing poorly. He's like, screw this, we're gonna do this. Or like
Yeah.
he loses his mind. I think.
You know what?
don't
I would like to see him with the full complement, like I mentioned, 14th game, 15th different line combo. They've
Yeah.
used 23 different linemen. I would have liked to seen him with Cooper Kupp last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
And
they had Allen Robinson
And so
too.
what if Kupp and Aaron Donald were there? Is Baker then enough to get that team over? I don't know, but I'll tell you this.
He has a better chance.
And Sean McVay, like McVay is a great offensive mind. I think he sees things offensively that other coaches don't see. And I can only imagine how strong the allure is for him to say, this guy's a former Heisman winner. He's a former #1 pick. He's won in the playoffs. He set the rookie record for passing touchdowns. He failed and failed. I've got this. Yeah. So he's got the Father Flanagan mentality.
Maybe.
I don't know.
The problem is he's so turnover prone.
I take Jacoby Brissett over him. I think Jacoby Brissett is a starter next year.
He's better than Baker Mayfield in your mind?
I think Baker is more talented than Jacoby Brissett. But I trust Jacoby Brissett to play within my system more than Baker.
I think he'll be a starter next
year.
Now,
the other reason I talk about McVay and the Rams and Baker is I do think it's that marriage made in heaven. Because of Stafford's injury, the spinal cord injury, which he said he's not going to retire, but there's also a likelihood that he could re-injure the same. He could suffer the injury again, and it could be much more serious. But Baker is the answer to what the Rams' woes are.
If Baker,
they don't know who their quarterback's going to be moving forward.
Well, I don't believe he's the answer. However,
he could be.
He could be, and if I were him, even if I'm the backup, I'd stay with the Rams.
Yes. I would too, because McVay,
assuming they want him.
Yeah.
Okay. Doing top 5, moving on, but just really think about how weird this is. Super Bowl champs last year, and just if you could put them here, they just see Baker starting for them right now.
They have already, with 3 games to go, lost the most games ever for a defending Super Bowl champ.
Remarkable.
Yeah. I'm sorry, tied. They're tied for the most.
All right.
With 3 games.
All right. What's top 5, Mikey?
Yeah, I just want to say, maybe Baker be a little better if he bulked up with some Built Bars.
No doubt.
50% off.
No doubt.
Promo code LOCKDOWN15. Anyone could eat them. They're delicious. They taste great. If you use promo code LOCKDOWN15, you get 15% off at Built.com. Built Bars, our favorite power bar. Okay, today's top 5 was inspired by the World Cup game. I'm sure we all watched the finale. It was unbelievable, and it made us start thinking, and I had a conversation with Anthony and Earl, what were the best championship games ever?
Very hard
and
to call
And I know,
these.
very hard category, I already don't like my list.
Yeah.
I already don't like
it.
We
hate it in advance, too.
Because I did not have the UNC Villanova.
Well, don't tell us. Don't give it away. Come on.
I'm giving you one that's not in the top 5.
We want to yell at you about it later.
In hindsight, I missed this one. So UNC Villanova, Jay, you brought this up pre-show. That's a big miss on my part.
Terrible.
Yeah, I can't believe you left that out. I thought for sure you'd go there because of your college basketball ball.
It just didn't come to my mind. So here's what we have. The way I evaluated this too, by the way, star players in big games playing their best. Like that to me makes a championship game elevate to that next level. So that's why I went with this at number 5. Game 7 of the World Series, 2001. Luis Gonzalez off Mariano Rivera, the walk-off single. The Yankees went up 2-1 in the 8th. Then they collapsed. The greatest closer in the history of baseball gives up the walk-off. That hurt. Phenomenal game.
I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that? Because of the unlikelihood of Mariano blowing a save.
I am. That was great. And as all Yankee haters, we celebrated that.
I was going nuts. It was almost as good as if the Indians had won.
Man, it's so, I don't understand it. Like, I'd be in anguish. Like, how is it that these expansion teams just get in the
league? It was their 4th year. 4th year in the league.
And then win. We've been waiting for how many years?
I know.
It's crazy.
When I was leaving the Marlins Indians game 7, I've never ever had the desire to injure a woman physically. Ever in my life. Not even my sister.
Are you sure you want to continue?
Yes, not even my sister. Because my dad told me if you ever lay hands on your sister, it'll be the last thing you do. Because she was she antagonized me.
Right.
And I took it.
Sure.
We're leaving. I'm on deadline. I've got to file a report. I've got a live hit coming. I'm leaving, and the group in front of me was, let me just explain in this way. They were Thurston Howell the third and Lovey.
Yeah.
And it was a group of very well-to-do, out-of-touch.
Florida 1%ers.
The shoulder sweater, the sweater ties.
Yeah.
Lovey, what an experience this evening. And the woman in front of me said, if I knew baseball was this exciting, I would have gone to my first game a long time ago. This was game 7.
That was her
Honey,
first
we're
game.
going to
my
have to
God.
come back for a game or 2 next season.
Wow.
Had it been a man that said that, I would have missed my deadline and it probably would have been taken to jail.
Yeah, probably.
I was seething like I'd never been seething before. Now, it was a hired team. The Marlins were, the baseball's newest franchise at that time. And they literally just paid for the championship. That's what they did. And all those guys, they let them all go, and the next year they lost 100 games.
It was crazy. And then just a couple of years later, the Diamondbacks win.
Yeah.
it's just like
4 years later.
And then the Rockies went to the World Series. I think a little bit I think when did the year the Rockies go? Was that
The
late?
Rockies.
Oh, they got slaughtered by the Red Sox.
The year we
The
in
year that we-
2007.
We was up 3-0.
yeah.
That should have been our World Series.
I actually thought I wasn't here yet, but I
We should've
remember thinking, oh, the Indians are going to win the World Series this year.
'Cause we
I
can
had
slaughter
always,
Colorado.
I had rooted for the Indians, obviously against the Marlins.
and the Diamondbacks and the Rockies played in the NLCS, and it was a foregone
The
conclusion.
American League team was going to win.
Whoever wins the American
Yeah.
League, that's the World
That's it.
Series.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yep.
And they blew the 3-1
Oh,
lead,
well.
and the rest is
But
history.
thanks for reminding us.
By the way, my only beef with, I'll get to my beef with the Yankees Diamondbacks, even though it's a great choice, but go ahead.
All right. I told you I don't love the list. This should be higher, in my opinion. Now I'm looking at it. The 2006 Rose Bowl, USC, Texas, Vince Young to come back.
One for the ages.
Back and forth. Unbelievable. That was the peak of college football. The next three are great, but I think this should have been higher in hindsight.
Pete Carroll allowed that to happen when he went for it on 4th and 1 around midfield instead of either punting. But even if you want to go for it, I get it, even though Vince Young's on the other side. I'll never forget the image just before the play
Wendell
was
White.
run is Pete Carroll on the sidelines with his Heisman Trophy winner Reggie Bush standing
Yeah.
right next to him.
He tried. He was so
He lost the Super Bowl trying to beat the smartest guy in the
That
league, too.
whole year, they was trying to make it like Lindell White was an equal to. No, he was not. You could have gave me them carries, and I'd have got like 400 for the year.
But why? Because Reggie White was attracting so much attention. So when you need a half a yard to not have Reggie, okay, you don't want to give Reggie White the ball. You want to go with
Reggie
your power
Bush.
back, Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
You want to give it to your power back. I get that.
Yeah.
But Reggie Bush has got to be on the field,
I know,
and for
it's crazy.
no other reason to attract attention away from Lendell White.
Isn't it shocking that, Reggie Bush was a decent NFL player, but I thought he was going to be phenomenal.
He had some
and I
injuries, but
can't
he had
believe
some good seasons.
He was
He had some good seasons, but he was never a star in the NFL.
He was one of the best. He had to be one of the best running backs.
You remember that
Vince Young,
spin
I've
move?
ever seen.
You remember that spin move he had at USC? I think it was against Fresno State. It was unbelievable.
He was otherworldly.
And Vince
fast.
Young was
The human highlight
nothing
reel.
in the NFL.
He was otherworldly.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. It's been a real rough few days here for Matt Ryan, and that's where number 3 comes in. 28-3. Symbolic putting him at number 3 here. The best comeback in Super Bowl history. Tom Brady, the GOAT. The only issue, the reason this isn't higher, was once the onslaught happened, it was one-sided, then it was the other sided. There was never the back and forth of the game. It was a Falcons blowout, then
it was
a
like-
Patriots
I don't like
blowout.
that
It
one.
was like the Colts and the Vikings.
Coaching.
It was 2 games.
Matters. Coaching matters. When you up 28-3, you supposed to have. And this is why I don't like when NFL teams take knees and don't play all the way through the fourth quarter. Don't, like, if another coach gonna get mad at you because your team is out here putting more points on them, so what? They get paid, they grown men, who cares?
Yeah.
Because that conditions your team to say, I'm gonna play as hard as I can to score as much as I can. So if you get up 28-3, guess what? We want another 28.
Yeah.
And think about all you need is a couple points.
Couple first downs.
Couple first downs.
That's it. Couple
That's it.
first
I remember
downs.
the inevitability of that game and just feeling like he was Jason Voorhees, Tom
Right.
Brady was in that
Yeah.
one. He just kept getting back up.
I don't like that choice. I'm
Or
anti
Jason
that
Bourne.
choice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, number 2, maybe a little recency bias, but the 2 best players in the world going at it, 2 goals each. Messi the game winner. Then it goes to PKs. Well, yeah, 4 goals between the 2.
I mean-
Mbappe's second goal was one of the greatest strikes.
Cut
of
to the
all
look
time.
on Bull's face right now.
Bull, you
And,
even
hey,
said
Bull's the one that
made
said it
Bull,
yesterday.
I
yeah.
loved it.
It was a great game.
Bull
I
said
did
the-
enjoy watching it, but
Number 2.
Go ahead,
though,
say it. It's soccer.
still soccer. I mean,
It's still soccer.
It was riveting.
Hashtag
man.
it was
it's
great.
still
I
soccer.
enjoyed it, but I'm back to
Mbappe
ignoring
had 4
soccer
goals.
again.
But you know what? I
I'm
know
not
we
watching
are.
Championship
But what's
League
funny,
and all these
Bull,
other leagues.
is hearing you talk about it
I was
yesterday,
excited
I'm like,
that
wow,
day.
that's exactly
It
the way
w-
I feel.
it was
And here's
exciting.
what that game was able to do.
Yeah.
Take people that give a rat's ass about a sport and make us watch.
Yeah.
But-
like, we all love football, so
Yes.
we're going to watch that no matter
Yep.
what. But the soccer thing, I wanted it to be a bad game when I turned it on with 60 minutes in, so I could say, shit, I don't have to watch
Right,
it.
right,
I don't
yeah.
need to watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But it was, as soon as I turned it on, they got the penalty kick, and 2 minutes later, they tied it at 2-2. And I'm
It
like,
was-
oh,
That
now
second goal
I'm
was
hooked.
all
It
time,
was
and you had 2 of the best
riveting.
players ever.
Ever.
It
at
was
the peak of their powers.
It was riveting, and that was a cool part of it. I think it's lame that they end the game on penalty kicks. I know there's a lot of pressure,
But that's a problem you have with the sport, not with the game itself.
That's true.
Mikey,
Fair
one of the
enough.
best
The only
five
way the match
championships.
could have been better for me was if it came down to the last kicker in the penalty kick.
Agreed.
Because
Right.
France had missed 2,
Yeah, it was
It
over.
was over
Yeah, yeah,
prematurely.
yeah.
I wanted it to come down to that 5th kicker.
Yeah.
What if someone told you right now that you had to watch that entire championship game again
I
right
wouldn't.
now, though?
I
Would you want to
would
watch
not.
it right now? No.
But you know what?
Like, sit through the whole
That's
thing.
a good measure of
Yeah.
it.
But you know what, though? In fairness, I never went back and watched Game 7 of the 2016 World Series.
Me either.
All right, we got number 1 before Has. This one,
And you had
it's
reason
not a
to.
homer pick. I do truly believe this is the best Game 7 in sports history. The block, the shot, however you
that's
want to
just-
dice it down. The Cavs beating the Warriors in 2016.
Could be a homer pick, but I'll take it.
I'll take it, too.
I
All
truly believe it is.
That's a great choice. Definitely, I know it's sucked for 99.9% of the people watching right now, but Game 7, Cubs-Indians.
You're really going to do this? You're going to say
It
that
was
was
the-
one of the best championships of all time?
Well,
Of
listen
course
to
it was.
the
Well,
Well, you have 30
criterion
seconds
for
to
it.
make your point before we bring Has
I'm
in,
with
and he'll
Bull,
dispute
but
you.
It
but
was
30
first of all,
seconds.
you had the 2 teams with the longest drought in the history of sports.
The drama was unbelievable.
Okay.
And one of the managers involved had ended one of the previous longest droughts in the history
you
of
had
sports.
these 2 great managers.
Yeah.
It was a David and Goliath. The Cubs were like huge favorites that year. They had a great team. The Indians had a good team, but they were a better team the following year. But plus they had
They got
lost their
hot
whole
at the right
pitching
time.
staff.
They got hot at the right time.
You basically had like Kluber and Andrew Miller carrying the entire pitching staff on their back.
What would have made it the best is if they would have won. Because the
but you
Goliath
gotta-
wins, you can't call it one of the best of
No,
all
no,
time
no.
when Goliath wins.
Well, it was in that matchup, but the Cubs had been losers forever. And
Right.
the drama of that game, because early the Cubs got off to the great start. Kluber looked, was shot.
It looked
by
like
that
the game was over until
And you thought
Rajay
the
hit
Cubs
the home
had
run in the
and
eighth.
for Rajay Davis
Right. Yep.
to hit a home run against Aroldis Chapman has got to be one of the most, in that spot,
Bucky Dent.
one of the most unlikely things I've ever seen on a
It's
baseball
Bucky
field.
Dent.
Bucky
You know,
Dent, yes.
it's Bucky
It's
Dent.
Bucky Dent.
Nobody
it's Bucky
expected
Dent.
it.
But this was the World Series.
DJ Hazmat. I don't know if you've heard that entire discussion. We're talking about great
There he
games.
is.
And by the way, great to see you again,
Hey.
brother. Great to see you again.
What's happening? How y'all doing?
Good,
Do
how are
you have thoughts on that? Like the greatest championship Game 7 or deciding game ever? Bull wants the Cubs Indians higher. I'm
Well, he
fine
didn't have
with.
him on the list.
I know. I'm fine with the Cavs Warriors from 16 being number 1.
Oh, that should definitely be there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're a little biased here, but that
Yeah.
was one of the greatest to ever happen. I mean, coming back from 3-1. I mean, that to me, what I experienced that night is going to forever put it at the top for me. And I know that the World Series was going on, and I know how long the Cubs had been since the Cubs, but that's their pain over there. When I was able to experience it for myself and what it meant for my city, that's what puts it over the top for me.
And that's
I get
for
that.
that same reason.
If
is
we're
why
doing
I-
a Cleveland only list, then obviously,
that's
and
it.
I have no
Right.
problem with that being number 1, but that's not what Mike was doing. He
No,
was
I know.
doing,
Yeah.
And by the way, the Indians Marlins could be on that too. That was
Sure.
an amazing
well,
Game 7.
it's only happened twice
Yeah.
where a team has lost Game 7 in extra innings, and of
Yeah.
course, both times it was the Indians.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the interview with DJ, for those of you that don't know, you should. Shame on you. DJ has built an incredible following off of his musical talents. Every week after the Browns game, win or lose, he writes an original song, writes the music, and then puts together a video to the song, and he's usually done like in 48 hours. I don't know how he turns this quality this fast. But before we dive into questions, because I know we all have some for you, DJ, let's play your most recent masterpiece. This is off of the Browns' victory over the Ravens. And I know you haven't done many of those videos in your time, because those videos are few and far between. But let's roll the video, and then we'll talk on the backside of it.
Cleveland, it's your dog, Hazmat.
Hey.
Back for another recap, week 15. Let's go, hey.
Pipe down, Baltimore, you was hyped
Pipe
up.
down.
Take this L with you, hold that thing high up.
Hold
You
it.
came through, but the Ravens ain't nice enough.
Nope.
We took the park, turned it to a Cleveland high
Saturday
strut.
evening
Cleveland, it was cold as hell. Baltimore came to town just to hold his L. And I'm happy to interrupt your playoff hopes and dreams, cause to us, you're the city that stole our team. So we had to sit the big dogs on you Redbirds. Took a doo-doo brown crap on you, left a fat turd. That's my other home, it's personal for me. I get heated. Plus in that first game, y'all know the refs cheated. Remember the time, like Michael Jackson repeated? If you say it's cause Lamar Jackson wasn't present, then beat it. Cause I ain't trying to hear no excuses or pretense. We shut you down. Give kudos to our defense. 13-3. Should have been worse, but I digress. They say Deshaun Watson's still a work in progress. I need to know I got 230 mil worth. Why on a second down he could have run but threw it in the dirt? He looked better through a TD to DPJ. Just funny, now we're cool with mediocre QB play. In Baltimore, you was steadily losing while this was happening. You lost the real game while Deshaun Watson was practicing.
Pipe down, Baltimore, you was hyped up. Take this L with you, hold that thing high up. You came through, but the Ravens ain't nice enough. We took the park, turned it to a Cleveland high strut. Pipe down, Baltimore, you was hyped up. Take this L with you, hold that thing high up. We turned Park Heights to a Cleveland high strut.
Hey, Baltimore, your quarterback's a fake.
Red zone, thought you would score, but Tyler was the creator of an interception for Ward. Tucker missed the field goal, looked perplexed and shocked and truly pissed off when that next one got blocked. Cause it's usually automatic when Justin's here, but Jordan Elliott said, yo, get the Tuck out of here. Your boy Huntley had a 138-yard deliverance. Lamar had 120 against us, what's the difference? Could it be that we were playing in the dog pound and only 3 penalties came against us this round? They came searching for points, defense was the discovery. John Johnson with the forced fumble and recovery. Miles with a sack and a half like all mine. Cleveland sack record, Garrett the greatest of all time.
Pipe down, Baltimore, you was hyped up. Take this L with you, hold that thing high up. You came through, but the Ravens ain't nice enough. We took the park, turned it to a Cleveland high strut. Pipe down, Baltimore, you was hyped up. Take this L with you, hold that thing high up. We turned Park Heights to a Cleveland high strut. What?
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
That was awesome. Wow. That's great.
Now, I'm going to tell you what, man. You got to explain. Now, people don't know DJ Hazmat was the leader of the Baker Bros. He had a shirt.
Yeah, this is unheard of.
He had a shirt, and I noticed,
unheard of.
And I noticed them subliminals in the middle.
Shots at Watson.
You had
there.
some subliminals and undercover joints in the middle of that first verse. We got to talk about it right there.
Okay. What in particular? What shot did you hear fired? Yes.
I heard
We're okay with mediocre. That was a good line.
That was a great line.
I'm not okay with it, but I think a lot of people are. You're right.
230, you put the 230 in there. This is what we paid for. I need to see something.
Right.
Yeah, give me your assessment of my man.
Okay, all right. I'll go ahead and take that. The whole Baker Bro thing, it's not so much that I'm in love with Baker Mayfield. I was more so in hate with the dysfunction of the Cleveland Browns. And I felt like at the quarterback, we finally had one get us a win in the playoffs, and we want to run this one out too. So I was more so against that than I'm like, he's the greatest quarterback ever, and he should have I just felt we were winning with him. We should have ran it back when he was healthy. They probably should have got him to get the surgery, sit out last season, come back healthy, see where we go. People were so scared that we were going to give him some mega contract or whatever. That's up to the GM. GM can make whatever move they want to move. And I just think had they wanted to make a move for Deshaun Watson, it probably would have been smarter not to play Baker out in the process and make him a better trade commodity. If you get him the surgery and sit him down, the most recent memory is him winning the playoffs and starting off the season hot before he got hurt. So people would have been more apt to trade for him then. I just thought it was not smart to play him out and then try to trade for him, because who knows? Maybe Houston would have took him off the hands in the trade to get Deshaun. You never know. I'm just saying, I just thought it was a bad way to handle that situation. Now, for the people that call me Baker Bro and I get to arguing back and forth about what Baker did versus, they want to focus on the negative, I'll focus on the positive. So now it's like, okay, well, keep the same energy you had for Baker for Deshaun Watson. That's all. That's what that shot is about. You want to tell me this is what we needed last year? We were a quarterback away. Well, we got your quarterback.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Let's
Don't
go.
move the
You know
bar
what I'm
now.
saying?
No, absolutely not.
Don't
He
move
needs-
the bar now.
100% he needs to play better. Baker wasn't good enough. Watson hasn't been good enough so far. But he has shown you better, so we need it. But I'm curious, because Jay talked about, and obviously you turned this around, that you put this whole thing together by now, and it was awesome. I thought that was fantastic. That was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. I'm sitting here.
He does them every week.
That's amazing. So I'm curious, do you, as part of your process, are you, obviously you don't know how the game's going to go, but are you kind of preparing before the game to some degree? Or is this all coming fresh into your brain when the game is over?
Most of it, I let the game decide.
Okay.
What it's going to be. But in this particular one, though, since I have ties to Baltimore, and so for those that may not know my history, that, you know, I both those places are like my home. Even though I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, so that's why I'm a Browns fan. All the way up through grade school, through high school, Cleveland, Ohio. I did live in the Baltimore area all through the 90s and the early 2000s. I was there when the Browns moved and became the Ravens. I was a radio personality on the air the night the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl, the first one. So I have ties to that city. My oldest children were born in Baltimore. My oldest son's a Raven fan. I have plenty of family and cousins and people who have antagonized me for years for being the lowly Browns fan living out there in Ravens Nation. So this particular song, the Ravens fans are going to feel this personally because that beat I chose is a beat that is very popular on TikTok for Baltimore. It was produced by a Baltimore producer named Rod Lee, who I know very well. I used to work with him when I worked in radio in Baltimore. He produced that beat, but it's very viral on TikTok right now because they've mixed it with the Tim song and the Baltimore. They have a dance to it called the Baltimore Strut, which is the step you'll see me doing in the video. So I just took their whole culture and flipped it on them. I told them I'd take it. They call it the Park Heights Strut. I flipped it to the Cleveland Heights Strut because we won the game. So they're gonna feel all those shots. Like the people that know me in Baltimore, they're gonna feel that. They're not gonna appreciate this when it drops. But y'all had the exclusive, and I appreciate y'all letting me drop it on here today.
By the way, DJ is much younger than you're older than I thought. I thought you were like in your 30s.
Call me Haz, guys. Call me Haz. DJ is
Haz,
just what I do.
Haz, you look like you're in your 30s. But if you were living as an adult in the 90s, you got to be you got to be in your 50s.
I am. I'm 52.
Well, you look like you're in your 30s. Damn.
Very young 52.
I'll be telling them black people don't age.
Black people don't age.
Black don't crack.
They say black don't crack. But I don't know what it is. I don't do anything special. I just live.
Clean
you know
living, Haz. Clean living. That's what it is.
Yeah, I just like to live, have fun, laugh.
This was obviously like an important one to you because you are from Baltimore and Cleveland.
Oh, man,
so
I love to stick it to them.
I'd imagine it must be easier to come up with content for something like that than it would be like, there had to be weeks against like Tampa Bay where it's just like a bad game and there's no real connection there or something. Are there games where you struggle more than you did with this one?
There are games. I mean, but I'll stay up all night to get it done because I don't want it to take too long in the week before it air, I get it out there. I want to get it out too, before the next game. But, once I find a song, though, that matches, then it just starts to flow like that. Because I've been a rapper before I ever got in the radio. I've been into hip-hop since I was 15. I started DJing. I got into every aspect of hip-hop, and I was rapping all through the 90s, trying to get on with a rap group. I used to battle guys on the radio, so my rap skills are really genuine. And it's just that I'm older now, and it's like I'm not about to put out a rap album, but what can I do with these skills? I can use them for this. You know what I'm saying? So
we're glad you do because they're a ton of fun, and we hope to debut these each week as soon as you get them done. We've talked about this one other time. In round figures, how many pieces of Browns gear, just Cleveland sports gear do you have? Because I've seen videos where you have like 15 different outfits on, and I'm just thinking G. Bush has the biggest Browns gear wardrobe that I know, but I think you're probably topping out more than
What
G.
you mean? The first time I talked to him, that's the first thing I said to him. I'm like, bro, you got too much gear. I don't like that. I'm petty.
You making G look bad.
You know, there's hats everywhere. Hats everywhere. That's just I had started a hobby years ago, just collecting these hats, and always Cleveland. Like, so like wherever I'm at, I want to make sure people know where I'm from. You know what I mean? So, especially when I was living out in the Baltimore area, I'm rocking, Cleveland Indians hats. I'm Browns. Because I didn't have nobody else out there to rep for Cleveland. And it's like, it's funny when you live outside of Cleveland and you hear a lot of people Cleveland is like low-hanging fruit when it comes to sports. Yeah. Like any and everybody who's a passive sports fan, they go for the easy joke, which is like the Cleveland Browns. Everybody has something negative to say, man. So that affected me. So I was always very positive about the Browns. So when I moved back and I started to hear a lot of negative talk from the own fans, I was kind of taken aback by it. You know what I mean? So I never really wanted to get into that culture of fandom, but I get it. There was generations of Browns fans that had never seen them win. I'm 52, so I'm not that guy. They were hot when I was in high school. You know what I mean? So even though it was the drive and the fumble for my teenage years, but I just want to represent, man. So then it just became this thing, and they're always coming out with new hats. It's like, I don't have that one. So I get my Liz card. I had to sign up for Liz cards to get a discount every time I go. And I just always wanted to have something that I didn't see somebody else have, So
sure.
I'm always on the lookout for, that's a nice one right there.
The same way.
That hat. They don't got that.
It's in you.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I always say, it's something in you. Like people say, why do you buy so much stuff? I said, man, for black people, it's just, I don't know. It must be, you come from Africa. You like to see our ancestors dress and dance and eat and do all kind of stuff. And they got to have the best clothes and the different things. So usually what happens is, you get married and then they put a limit on how much you can really get.
That's why you've been divorced.
Yeah, I've been divorced because of that, for real. But so it's like, I know it's like, yo, I can't get everything. You can get you a hat and a hoodie and then get some shoes, but you really can't do the hat, the hoodie, and some shoes all that same day, or you might have some problems. You can't be doing that every week.
Nah. But when I'm making all these videos, I don't want to be wearing the same thing every time. There's a lot, when I said I would do this 3 years ago, and I said I was going to do every game, I didn't really count the amount of games it would be. But it's like
17 new fits. That's 17 outfits.
Right. It's like you gotta so now it's like, okay, you can't be wearing 3-4 in every video. You gotta save this one for the next video. Right. But it's like
it's a marathon.
I have companies reach out to me that make Cleveland gear and they want to see me wear their stuff in their videos. And if you make Cleveland gear and it's hot and you want to get it featured, you know what I'm saying? Holla at me. You know what I'm saying? If I think it's dope and I'm something I would wear, I'll rock it in the video now.
Fire off your Twitter handle, and so if people that don't follow you can, and for companies that may want to get gear to you, what's the easiest way to reach you?
Well, on IG, I'm at HeyHaz1. If you can think, Hey Has, that's my catchphrase. That's just the natural way women would speak to me. So I made it a drop. So now it's part of my spiel. So it's Hey Has everything. HEYHAZ. But matter of fact, if you Google DJ Hazmat with 2 T's, it's all me. I'm the top Google DJ Hazmat, and you'll get everything. I'm pretty proud of that.
And I'm sure by now, your videos are well over 1 million views. They have to be.
Well, combined, they were doing, the first couple of years, they were going crazy, on Facebook and Twitter especially. And so I appreciate everybody that showed love, checking out the videos, and all the people that, because sometimes I did get mad and not do them, in recent years. And so, for those that stuck with me, even when I took a hiatus and came back, I really appreciate it. But but I do a lot of stuff, man. I like you guys. I'm working. I'm down here in Atlanta now. I'm the executive producer for the Posted on the Corner show, which is a syndicated nighttime radio show.
Nice.
That comes Monday through Friday. It's with Urban One, Reach Media,
right?
And so they're in Cleveland, and we're in like 16 markets, trying to grow that show. And I'm also still on air in Cleveland on WZAK. On the weekends, you can catch me at 8 o'clock on the turntables for 4 hours.
Wow,
And,
nice.
On Sundays, doing a regular show for a couple hours. We'll talk right before the game, and from 12 to 2. And I'm also on the Dish Nation television show. I'm a TV personality on there, so I do a segment of entertainment news every day for.
And I've caught that.
Nation
That's
show.
really good. Really good.
Well,
entertaining.
Yeah,
We're
I've been testing my jokes.
We're gonna send you some UCSS swag so you can wear that your next video.
Yes.
We gotta get you back.
Thanks
on
for
so we get to talk
debuting
about
your
this
song
picture.
with us. It was awesome.
We gotta talk about this picture next
thank
time
y'all
you're
for
on. I
having
don't know
me.
if you remember, but we gotta
Yeah,
discuss
there
how
it
Jim
is.
ambushed me. So
Barbershop.
we'll talk about that next time you're on. We'll send you some UCSS gear. We appreciate it. Great song. Check it
you're
out
the
on
best,
man.
Instagram,
Guys.
Twitter. We appreciate you, man.
Thank y'all. Anytime. I
Take
appreciate
care,
it.
brother.
That was phenomenal.
So we
Yeah.
go from
That was
one
really
master
good.
of
It's
the
got
turntable.
we got to play them every week.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just staples.
If he wants to, we'll play him. But we go
Yeah.
from a master of the turntable to the master of the gridiron. Mike Polk, we've been setting this up behind your back. Let's take it full, Steve. Let's show him who we got here. The one.
Hello, guys.
The Barbarian.
Oh my God.
And we got them both,
Jennifer.
Jen and Mike Babb.
And we got another Matthews, Matthews and Jim Matthews.
Oh, this is the best Christmas ever.
There he is, Mike.
Absolutely.
Mike is like stunned right
Mike's
now.
blushing like
taken
a
aback.
schoolgirl right now.
You'll understand, Mr. Babb. I've been a big fan for a long time, both of your athleticism and your acting skills in Masters of the Gridiron, and your big
Well, I wouldn't go that far with acting. Well, you remember the important thing to remember is when we did our Hollywood opening of the Masters of the Gridiron, we won the next, I think, 7 games.
There you go.
So
Wow.
we take a lot of credit for the fact that
Nice.
you go back and look at it. It may not be 7, it may be 6, but I don't think we lost until Denver after the Masters came out, because it was a pretty cocky move to do in the middle of the season.
Yes, it was.
When it came out, we were like 2-3.
Yeah.
You know,
Here's what I got to know.
And we picked it up and took off. Yeah, so Masters had
It's
something
like the
to do with
Bears
it.
Super Bowl shuffle.
Well, here's what I got to know. How did you get that bear? Because and how did he not kill all of you?
Well, actually, he was a tame wrestling bear, and his name was Caesar. But his real name is Smokey. Remember when we did this, I remember when we were putting this thing together. Remember my wife, Lolisa Garcia Babb. Lolisa is the producer of this thing. She put this whole thing together.
Yeah.
Masters with her and me and a couple of guys sitting at a table saying, we can't shuffle, we can't sing. The Bears look like a pack of idiots doing their video. And we decided, let's not do that. Let's do something wild and bizarre. And that's where Masters came from, because I remember Lois turning to me and go, well, you're into all this Conan stuff. Why don't we do a barbarian adventure? And we did.
God, that is so
It
great.
was amazing.
Jen, first of all, thank you for making this happen. Jen, this is very cool of you. Just so you know, Mr. Babb, I have been begging to have another premiere here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Where we would show the movie and perhaps inspire the Browns to greatness in the way that it inspired you guys and win 6 in a row going into next year. So in the offseason, would you be willing to come back if we put you up at a La Quinta Inn near the airport? Would you be willing to come back?
Well, only if I get free coffee.
Absolutely. Free coffee, free breakfast bar, free Danish. Would you come back for a premiere at Playhouse Square for you and anybody else who was in that film who would be willing to come back, including the Bear or the Bears Cubs by this point?
The Bear's probably dead.
I
right?
would love to do that. You will have to include my wife.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
She
of course.
owns Masters of the Gridiron.
We got to have the
Absolutely,
director.
Everything is absolutely everything comes from her.
Great.
So sure, we'd love to. We've actually, somebody on YouTube did something. They did a remake of Masters of the Gridiron with some of the what they thought it was a remake. You go find it on YouTube. It's kind of silly and ridiculous, but we keep reminding people we do own this, guys.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
That is I mean, it could be actually an amazing night if we really did this.
Yes.
And then did like a Q&A after.
Oh, listen.
People would love it.
I'm
It would
telling
be
you.
crazy.
Brown.
Well, all the kids,
Yeah.
the kids of all my teammates, especially Jennifer, will talk about this.
Yeah.
All the guys, we all call each other Clay Rock, Barbarian, which are a bunch of maids, a bunch of names that Lolis and I sat at the table drinking wine and just made up because I like the Conan the Barbarian stuff. So that's where a lot of that came from.
Yeah.
I call her dad Clay Rock every time I see him. And all our children were raised on Masters of the Gridiron, and they know every word. And when we get together, you got to remember when we did the great Hollywood opening in 1986 at a place called the Beach Club, which I don't know if it's still there.
No.
It probably still smells of sex on the beach and fuzzy navels.
Yeah, I know it.
When we did it there, that was the hottest ticket in Cleveland, Ohio.
There you go.
The hottest ticket. We had limos. We had searchlights. I mean, we did it up. We did it as big as we could because the whole thing was camp. I mean, we were looking at something silly. This was the MTV generation, and that's why we did all this goofy stuff. We all wanted to be action heroes. That was part of it because that's when action heroes were coming out. And rock stars, because between the two of them, all rock stars want to be athletes and all athletes want to be rock stars.
That's right.
So this was our chance to just do whatever we wanted to do. And God bless the people of Cleveland because they donated. Almost everything was donated for free. And I had my stomach muscles painted on by a little girl for free. So it's, there's the bear. Where the bear came from, back to the bear real quick. A guy just said, "Hey, I got a bear, want it?" And Lolis goes, "Sure, bring him." So we brought the bear.
Oh, Mike, how in the hell did Tiny Tim get wrapped up in all this?
Well, Tiny was actually one of Lolis's partners, Tom Pattison, who was a local production guy, was Lolis's partner, and some other things that they had done. And Tom knew a lot of people in town, and he was the one that was able to get get agents and people to come in and donate things and things like that. So, what was the question? Where would it go?
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. So he knew somehow how to get a hold of Tiny Tim because we're trying to think of an evil lord of the league, and
we lost Mike for a second. Get him back. Jen, thank you for pulling this off, by the way.
Yes, well,
you are so
Tiny was a
back.
very interesting wild dude. He was terrified of the bear. We have a scene where I'm on the poster that we shot. I'm up on top of Squire's Castle with Tiny, and he won't come down because he thinks the bear likes the taste of Tiny Tim.
Jen, you can see this being a big success, right? How would you add to this amazing night that we're going to put together with UCSS? How do you see this going down?
Mike, and I hope you're realizing I wasn't kidding when I said they were really pumped about Masters of the Gridiron. And you guys, I figured since it's holiday season and it's Christmas this week, this was the surprise. Mike, you're like a legend, okay? And they're not kidding. So I don't know. I feel like we need to do it up right. Have some media there. Have all the the stars. And I don't know, Mike. What else would make it just a night to remember?
Unfortunately,
well, one thing we talked about, which has never really came out and is still floating in the woods a little bit, is having us as older gray-haired guys passing it along to the young guys.
Absolutely.
We thought about something in that thing because remember, back in 1986, we were playing with swords on our day off. We were having active sword battles. People got chopped. I mean, it was that kind of thing. Nowadays, with their agents and how much money they make, I mean, there's not going to be any swords involved, that's the fun part. Look what I got right here.
Oh, my God.
I tore it, as you can tell. I mean, I have a collection of swords. This is one of the worst ones I have.
Wow.
And if you're watching the movie, I've always got my finger wrapped over it like this because it wiggles. The blade wiggles so bad to keep the blade from falling off. It's like, that's not how you do sword. That's not how you do a sword battle. But I've got this and the map, and because this was very much made in the house. We sat at the table and drew it up, and then we did we made up everything. I drew the map that's in the Master of the Gridiron. We found out about 2 years ago, the Coen brothers, we found out the Coen brothers,
Russo,
the Russo brothers, are huge Masters of the Gridiron fans.
Of course,
and there's a thing on YouTube again where they sit and watch us, and they watch the movie, and by the time this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and by the end they made a couple of very nice compliments about Lisa's director abilities. And the way
That's amazing.
Well, we need to get them in for the.
We need to get them in.
Yeah.
And it would be awesome. Mike's idea is great that if we could get like Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb.
Yes, to pass the sword.
Yes, I mean that would be that'd be the greatest thing ever.
All right, we're on
to
it.
pass
Mike.
the ring, and I don't have the ring. We don't have the ring, right? Lois is in here. No, we don't have the ring. I think the people that made it have it somewhere. The jeweler that made it for us for nothing. We can get a hold of that ring.
Maybe we can track it down. Hey, Mike, before we let you go quickly,
something like that would be.
He's doing trivia with us.
He's staying with us. Before we turn the page to trivia, I want to ask you one of my great memories. I mean, this is a stupid memory, but I was at the game, so I remember it. Bernie Kosar's first snap ever as a Cleveland Brown.
He dropped the damn ball.
He fumbled the ball. And then you guys came over to the sideline, and that was the sideline where my seat was. And Bernie went through a practice snap, and no one was watching the game. They were watching Mike and Bernie practice the snap quarterback exchange. And when he got it and backed up, the whole place went nuts with applause.
I told him in the huddle. When I walked in there, I said, Bernie, don't drop the damn snap. Embarrass me. Never drop the snap. That's not what happens with me. And he pulled out, which is Bernie had it. We call it pulling out. He just remember when Bernie had that weird foot off to the side thing he did.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was so he could get out of there faster. And he would kind of lean back a little bit and pull out. And it happened a few times. And I was heartily embarrassed by that and was really mad at him for a while.
Heartily.
I don't fumble snaps.
My God, that is absolutely great. All right, let's do trivia, Jen.
Here we go.
Yes, and we're gonna make it. All right, we're gonna mix it up here, and we're gonna have some Mike Babb trivia too. You guys, he's like the most interesting man in the world. I'm convinced. And my dad said he's like, he'll be a perfect guest because he's so great and entertaining. So, all right, Mike, you ready?
Let's take question one, number one, Steve.
We're gonna test your trivia and see. And Mike, this is for the guys. So, okay. After the release of Masters of the Gridiron, a small group of fans at Cleveland Municipal Stadium called themselves by what name?
I got to assume it's the Barbarians, right? After him.
Oh.
I mean, that was his name.
Yeah. That's
So,
close.
Let's
It's
go with
Barbarian.
Barbarian.
Yes.
Let's go with
He
Barbarians.
used to come.
Are you agreeing on that? All right, let's pull up the answer. We'll have Mike make some commentary. All right, the answer is. Oh yes. Close, you guys.
Barbarians.
Barbarians.
Absolutely.
I used to step out of a huddle and hold up a fake sword, and they lose their little minds and hold up their little swords. Maybe that's how it's done. I don't know.
Doesn't take a lot to amuse us.
Oh my God.
No.
That's the little things.
All right, question number 2, Jen. You ready?
All right. Ready. Okay. Kevin Johnson caught Tim Couch's Hail Mary. We're going to have a Saints question in here because we got to do the preview for next game. Okay, Kevin Johnson caught Tim Couch's Hail Mary to beat the Saints 21-16 on October 31st, 1999. But who caught the other touchdown pass that Tim Couch threw that day?
It could have been Quincy Morgan. It could have been Andre Davis.
I would say Andre Davis.
I don't have a clue.
I would go with Andre Davis.
That would be my guess.
I think, but it could be Morgan. But
Final answer?
Let's go with
We'll go with Andre Davis.
Andre Davis.
Andre Davis. All right, Mike, let's bring up the answer. The answer is
wow.
Edward.
Who the hell is that?
I think he was in Revenge of the
That's
Nerds.
the problem with the Browns for a while there.
It's Anthony Edwards. Close.
That's a good question. Yeah. The fact that we didn't know
That
that
is
guy's name is indicative.
Yeah, right.
You know what? I believe in you guys, and we're gonna get on a roll. Okay, let's bring up question number 3.
All right.
Okay, in 2005, the legendary Mike Babb won what international competition in the 45 to 49-year-old age class?
I would say bodybuilding.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. What about like running? I feel like those age breakdowns
I'm an
sound like
offensive
running.
lineman.
No, he's an offensive
I
lineman.
know, but that would be unusual.
I mean, you saw that ridiculous physique on Mike when he was in the movie.
Obviously not. He shot it down.
International is hot dog eating competition.
No, no.
Bodybuilding.
By the way, it's always
Arnold
skinny,
Classic.
anorexic-looking guys that are good at eating food.
Arnold Classic.
All right, let's take it, Steve.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Oh, of course. Scottish Highland Games.
Scottish Highland Games.
Scottish Highland Games.
Yeah, put your kilt on and throw heavy things. That
Yep.
was a lot of fun. I
Oh.
did that really seriously for a while.
One of my college buddies does that.
You like throwing rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, stone.
Oh, that's awesome. Like in Braveheart.
350 stone.
Ball.
I can see Mike
It's
killing
a big
that.
sport for an offensive lineman because you stand up there and you go, "Roar!" You throw something and you go sit down and wave to the crowd. And you throw another one and
You guys, I told you he was the most interesting man in the world. Okay, let's go to the next question.
I love great in the kilt too.
Said no other Browns player ever.
All right, the last time the Browns beat the Saints was a 26-24 win on September 14th, 2014. Who was the Browns starting
Brian
QB?
Hoyer?
And who made the game-winning field goal with
game-winning
3
field goal.
seconds
Hoyer
left to go?
Dawson,
That'd be my guess.
Was Dawson? What year did Dawson leave?
14. He would have been here, right?
I don't think Dawson was here at 14.
I go Hoyer Dawson because I don't remember the next kicker.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, we're going with Hoyer and Dawson.
All right.
All right, Mike, let's bring up the answer and see how.
Hoyer and
Billy
Cundiff.
Cundiff.
Okay.
I knew it was Hoyer.
You got half of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you a half a point. That's
Partial
okay.
credit. Partial
take it.
credit.
Partial credit. That's right.
Last one here.
All
Jen.
right, Mike.
And that high
Last
note.
one. Yeah, I believe in them. Okay.
Oh.
How many copies of the Academy snubbed Masters of the Gridiron were sold?
96.
No, it'd be
Thousands.
I'm saying in the thousands.
12,306.
I was going to say 12,307.
Remember, this is legendary cinema. I feel like you're just really. I'm going to give you a hint and just say it like you're.
If this
You need
sold
to believe it.
400,000, that's crazy.
We got to go based on that.
It's got to be higher.
50,000?
80,000.
80,000?
I think it broke 100.
All right, you're going with 80,000. Let's bring up the answer, Mike.
Let's see. 40,000.
About
Very
40K.
impressive.
That is
And
And you
remember-
guys remember, this is in the days before social media where everyone could
Yeah,
promote
that's
it. So just
amazing.
imagine when we do this screening, there's going to be so much
Well-
buzz around it. It's gonna be the hottest ticket in town.
Huge.
Well, it was social media of its time back then. It was on the Tonight Show and Johnny Carson, MTV. They showed it on MTV. So that was about as hot and cool as it got. I mean, remember, the important thing is that my wife had a deal with a production company to where we were going to 250,000, maybe $500,000 more if we went to the Super Bowl. And she was going to get, we were going to get this giant check and 10% of national, international distribution. This thing was this close to my wife, maybe me becoming an action star and my lovely wife becoming a producer. in Hollywood. It was that close. If we win that stupid game, I might be sitting in a different place.
Oh, man.
Mike, don't kid yourself. You're an action star regardless.
Yeah.
This is the best.
No,
you got to put this together.
that's what I think.
How many views does that have on YouTube, McNuggets? Do we know?
I don't know if it's an accurate count of how many people really viewed it.
Oh, we
Were
don't
there
know?
any players that you asked to be in it that refused, or did everybody say yes?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, there's
okay.
3 of them.
Let's
Kozar,
name 'em.
right away.
Kozar.
Yeah.
Kozar,
We'll yell at him about that.
Cody Reisman, and Brian Brennan.
Huh.
That was
What
the
were the
guys
reasons
that
given?
I don't want to wear furs. My leg hurts, or something like that. And to this day, they had done it.
Mike, do you ever get to Cleveland these days or no?
Oh yeah, we came up in 2016 for the reunion of the '86 football team.
Okay.
And then I came up a few years before that to be captain, and was up there just last year. I got to go see my buddies. Some of my buddies are, when you become an old white-haired football player, a lot of your buddies start to. If you don't see your buddies by 60, you might not see them again. So, you know, I need to get up there as often as I can.
Well, visit us in studio.
Old is Doug Deacon? Is Doug Deacon 90 years old by now?
Somewhere around there.
106. 106.
And he's been with the Browns for the same number of years. They signed him at birth,
and he's been on the radio. Yeah, I always tell Doug he had a great face for radio.
Mike, we're going to work on this world premiere, so we'll get you to Cleveland for that. And when we get you here, you have to come by and spend time in studio with us. Something tells me that you will be on par with one of our all-time craziest, best guests ever, Super Joe Charbonneau. He tore the studio up. It was nuts. And I have a feeling you'll do the same thing.
That's right.
The thing is when you've lived long enough and you've kind of outlived everybody else, I mean, nobody really remembers the truth of the stories. There was no cell phones, no pictures of anything. You know, God knows what went on that night in the beach club. So it was the perfect time to do this because Cleveland just caught on. The video caught on. We started winning. And Cleveland went from really, when I got there in 82, it was kind of a nasty Rust Belt place. By the time I left, it was a thriving, let's go kind of proud town.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood of the Midwest,
Again.
we like to call it. Hey, Mike,
Absolutely.
thanks so much
Thanks,
for taking
Jen.
time.
And thank you.
My pleasure.
Great to
Thanks,
see you. The great Mike Babb.
Thanks,
awesome.
Jennifer. I appreciate it. I remember when Jennifer was this big.
I bet.
She was tiny. Jennifer, thank you for doing this. This is great.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Number 61.
Thanks, guys.
Mike Babb, he was awesome. Like he just
You could tell he's got. I mean, if we had him in studio, probably some great
I want
stories.
him after the studio. I want to talk to him in a bar
That's
afterwards.
true.
Well, yeah, that'll
You know
happen
what I mean?
too.
But yeah, that's it. You have to remember one other thing to add about this. Of course, the movie is a little campy, as he said,
course,
and whatnot. But it was very much of its time. And I'm a kid in the '80s. I'm playing with He-Men.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Browns. So the Browns are my heroes, and so are He-Men. And then these guys dress up like He-Men. They're in shape like He-Men.
So it's your perfect
So
storm.
it's like it was the perfect time for me to see that movie where I'm just like, everything's coming together finally for 10-year-old Mike Polk, where everything's coming together, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing part of my childhood.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all.
really cool.
And for a lot of kids too, like for a lot of kids my age. I feel
And
like.
Jennifer, thanks for pulling that
Yeah,
off.
thank you, Jennifer.
And
That was a
McNuggets,
very
I know.
special treat.
McNuggets was very excited before the show. He's like, I got a big surprise. Mike Polk's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
And it
He was great sport. Mike
It was great.
Yeah.
So well done.
All right, no time for final takes.
No time for final takes. Don't toss yet. I do want to promote memberships real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for sticking around. We didn't get a chance to promote this earlier. Today, Mike Polk's actually going to teach me how to do stand-up because I have to do stand-up coming up soon because I lost.
No problem.
Oh, is that our
football
overtime
league.
segment
That
today?
is overtime segment.
10
So if
minutes.
you want some tips from the expert, stick around. There's 2 tiers. $199 is a starters tier. $4.99 a month is your coaches tier. Less than $60 for the whole year. You get the exclusive overtime content. You get to be part of the community tab, which is where the conversation continues after the show. It's a 24/7 full thing. It's awesome. If you can find to support, we'd love for you to do that. And also one more reminder, we're doing the Browns memorabilia giveaway. Signed helmets, mini footballs from Leroy Horde, Tim Couch, Jaquel Jackson, all in one. You have to be a subscriber to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You head to WKYC.com/contest to enter.
You're saying mini footballs. The football that Tim sent is a full football.
Well, look at that. Maybe
It's right here.
Mini.
It's a
no,
full-size
literally came
football.
in. So we're doing that. If you want to enter, head over to WKYC.com/contest and hit submit.
By the way, I think the $4.99 a month, I think it'd be a great stocking
holiday present.
It's a great stocking stuffer. If you have a Browns fan that you don't know what to get, what do I get them for $60? You get the entire year on the coaches tier. They get every day's overtime content for free. And as I've said before, that's when Bull does his striptease every day on the overtime segment.
Drives the ladies of Cleveland crazy.
Yeah, so young ladies, if you're not presently a coaches tier member, you're missing out on this. It's great content.
Shaking my backside
So
for
does
you.
everyone have a water bottle? Does everyone have a water bottle, guys?
I
I'm
do.
very excited for this.
We do.
Gene,
We're
you
not
have one?
loaded.
Okay.
We're
Mike,
going to
I got
toss
one.
water bottles. We're
Right
going to let DJ Has.
Who's going to go first?
I'll go.
Bull's going to go first.
Okay.
That's
And
a
then
lot
we're
of
gonna let-
pressure.
Bull
A lot
is
of pressure.
closest.
First one ever.
Yeah, but I'm a lefty, so I gotta.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
hook shot.
true.
Bull,
All right, here we go.
whenever you're ready.
Oh, I overshot it.
That was horrible.
That was terrible. Polk,
Okay, here we
fire
go.
away, sir.
Oh!
Now, wait a minute. There was water in that, which
He's
is a
never
smart
done it
strategy.
before.
Cash money Polk. Okay.
Well done, Mike. Is that the first time you've even attempted one?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Off the
Pretty proud.
glass.
Quit while you're ahead.
I will. I'll never do it again.
It's like the Chad Ochocinco.
Uh-huh.
G. Bush's shoulders don't always work, so it's going to be interesting to see on a
Yeah,
daily
this will be
basis.
interesting.
Don't hurt yourself doing this.
Oh, there's water in yours too.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
worth
a smart play.
It's actually cheating with water in it.
Oh,
Oh my God, a grown
That was
man
worse
took
than mine.
that shot.
That was worse than
A
mine.
grown man
It
took that
slipped.
shot.
It came
DJ, wrap us up.
All
Let
right.
DJ has play us out.
I'm calling my shot.
Here it
This
comes.
is going in. Nothing but net.
No!
All right, that's
an
all.
air ball.
The day one winner tomorrow. Cavs content. DJ has. Take us out.
Woo!
You can tell that guy's been rapping a really long time.
He's perfected it.
Yeah.
Is he going to take us out or?
Oh, there he is.
There it is. Let's get some volume on that. See you tomorrow.
Y'all know the refs cheated. Remember the time, like Michael Jackson repeated? If you say it's because Lamar Jackson wasn't present, then beat it. Because I ain't trying to hear no excuses or pretense. We shut you down. Give kudos to our defense. 13-3. Should have been worse, but I digress. They say Deshaun Watson still a work in progress. I need to know I got 230 mil worth. Why on a second down he could have run but threw it in the dirt? He looked better through a TD than DPJ. Just funny.